Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, and so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show. Booyah!
Tuesday, Mike Polk's here.
Uh-oh.
Woo! Good to have you here, Mike.
I'm thrilled to be here, you
Repping
guys.
Kent State today, the alma mater.
Go Flashes.
Absolutely.
That's right. We are playing, Kent State runs a gauntlet this year. I forget what their football schedule is. I'm going to look it up.
Aren't there like three Power Fives?
They
all
play
of their
like
non-conference.
Yes, they took the money. They went for the bag, as my friend would say.
Yeah.
And they just said, sure, we're just going to send these kids out there to get massacred for 3 straight games against Division I teams to pay for our field hockey program.
It'll also make MAC competition look pretty simple.
Yeah,
You know,
it
so
will.
it's not a bad play.
Yeah.
I'm
So
glad
they'll
they
only lose
can.
by 20 to the other MAC schools.
Exactly.
Instead of 50 to the good schools.
And whoever survives, whatever of our football team survives after that, I guess that's when division play starts for us. Look out, Akron.
Yeah.
See you on a
We're
Tuesday.
coming for you. We're coming. Busy show today. Aditi's going to be on. Later in the program, I'm excited about this. And once I started really digging into it, yesterday I said, I think Emmanuel Clase is the best closer in baseball. Once you start digging into it, it's pretty slam dunk. We're going to talk about that and the Guardians' dominance at that position. Not just closer, but the whole back end of the bullpen in general. They got one arm after another that they can throw at you. Also, we are going to talk on this program about the top 5 Browns pass catchers. Not ever.
Not an impressive
but
group.
In recent, man, it is
It's not.
abysmal.
It's really
not.
not.
I knew that historically the Browns have been without superstar receiver.
Yeah.
It's stunning. It's depressing when you really start digging into it, what little we've had. Particularly when we brought in Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham Jr., you thought, this is going to cure the woes. And it didn't.
The Browns have not had any skill positions, especially at tight end or receiver.
I mean,
Well,
Josh
Ozzie
Gordon
Newsome-
for
Ozzie
one year.
Newsome.
One guy, but
Josh Gordon for 1 year was magnificent.
For a
Out-
flash.
year.
outside
Actually,
of Gordon
Braylon
for 1
Edwards
year.
for 1 year.
One year
Braylon
for
Edwards
Braylon.
for 1 year.
Excellent.
Yes.
You can compile, if you put all of these quarterbacks together one of their years, you can make a pretty solid wide receiver out of that over time.
That's the problem.
That's it. You got a bunch of 1 year wonders. Peyton Hillis 1 year.
We'll talk
Derek
about
Anderson
that.
1 year.
And this discussion is specifically wide receivers.
No,
Pass
it's not
catchers.
just wide receivers. Pass catchers, yeah.
You got to throw
Yeah.
Ozzie Newsome into that
Yeah.
group. All right. I am super excited how we're starting today's show because I think this is an issue that absolutely is front and center on all Browns fans' minds. Obviously, we know what the season's going to be. It's going to be Jacoby Brissett, barring injury, for 11 games or barring poor performance. And then for the 12th game of the season, we'll get, finally, Deshaun Watson back. He'll play out the rest of the year, provided he's healthy. So we live in the hypothetical world. That's a lot of what we do when we don't have games to talk about, and we don't. So we'll do the hypothetical discussion. Here's the hypothetical. You can go to war with what you know we have. Jacoby for 11, Watson for 6. Or you can take Baker Mayfield for all 17. Bull, where are you going?
And it's just for this year, by the way.
Just for this year,
Next year you have
Next
Watson
year you
either
still
way.
have Watson for the whole season.
Okay, to me it's easy. I'm going Brissett for 11 and Watson for 6. Who would have guessed that, right?
Really?
Now, you could say, well, does that make sense? Because the first 11 games you have a worse quarterback. And that is true. Baker Mayfield is better than Jacoby Brissett. But ultimately, I'm saying, yes, okay, with Baker, I have a better chance to have a slightly better record in the first 11 games. But the bottom line to me every season is, can I win a Super Bowl? That's all that matters. I don't care if I go 9-8 or 8-7, or can I make the playoffs, and can I win the Super Bowl? I believe you cannot win the Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield, and I think you can with Deshaun Watson. Now, it's tricky because he is not going to play for 2 years by the time he comes back, and who knows how rusty he will be. And he may be rusty enough that he can't get him over the top at the end of this season.
Right. Or they may be in a position where it's too late.
It's too late.
He's Superman. He can't turn back time.
But ultimately, if I get to the playoffs, and I think, yeah, you have a better chance for more wins in those 11 games with Baker, but I think you have a better chance with more wins in the last 6 games with Watson. So overall, I think it evens itself out. But once I get to the playoffs, I got a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. I believe Baker's not, so I'd go with that combination.
Mike.
Okay.
You have notes.
First of all, it's Kent State plays Washington, Oklahoma, and Georgia within a month.
Oh, my God.
They'll have 8 scholarship players healthy.
Yeah.
by
Oh,
week 4.
hang in there, guys.
disaster.
Go Flashes.
that's
I'm
tough.
going to use
tripping.
Bull's same logic
Yeah.
to argue the other way.
Okay.
Because I agree. The ultimate goal should always be Super Bowl. I think the ultimate goal should be Super Bowl, but competitiveness too. I do want to see a product on the field. I want to see wins. I'd love to get to the playoffs. But I agree. The ultimate goal has to be the Super Bowl. And I think you can't get to the Super Bowl if you don't get to the playoffs. And I think Baker Mayfield, and anything can happen once you get to the playoffs. Everything can click right. But you can't get there. You can't get to that Super Bowl if you don't make it to the playoffs. And I have a hard time believing that this unproven. I think we're forgetting how unproven Jacoby Brissett really is sometimes, and we're just taking for granted that we haven't even seen him in a preseason game, and we're acting like it's a done deal that he's going to be a really competent quarterback when he gets out there. And I just don't know if that's true yet. I also know that you're going to be making a quarterback switch on a team towards the end of the 2/3 of the way through the season. I don't care how good he is, and we don't know, we won't know until a game or two in because he hasn't played in 2 years. But relying on him to come in and just suddenly be back to form out of no time, I think that is also logically flawed, just assuming that that's going to happen. So, by using your same logic, ultimate goal being the Super Bowl, I think to get to the Super Bowl, you have to make it to the playoffs, and I think your best chance is with a quarterback who's people aren't crazy about, but who's been there,
Right.
who has gotten this team to the playoffs before when he was healthy and had a healthy shoulder, and who now has a better roster than he did when he did that. And so that's why we go with Baker.
All right. G. Bush.
I like the numbers aspect. I'll go a little different. I'll go with the people skills, right? So say, for instance, you got Baker Mayfield, got Jacoby Brissett. Obviously, I would take Baker Mayfield in terms of what he can do on the field throwing the football. I think he's been there before. And I think one thing that you can have with Baker is when you're really hot, Baker gets hot. You know, he's a guy that can really put some throws together. He can put games together. We've seen him do that. However, I would have reservations. The reservations go towards the locker room. There's people in the locker room, and I've heard personally from some people that it was untenable. You never would have got Jadeveon Clowney to come back if Baker was still on the team. There was people who didn't really per se like the way Baker led the team, his management skills in terms of what he was doing in the locker room. And that's a big part of, are you going to be able to be successful? Can you go to the playoffs? Can you do that? On the field, I think it's a closer debate, right? On the field, if I could just strip all of the other things that come along with Baker, I would be able to do that. However, I can't do that with Deshaun Watson either. I can't just strip him of all the outside stuff. Outside stuff counts too. So when you look at it from a totality of what your team is, I think that you can tread water. I think for 11 games, Baker will probably be a bit better. But in terms of what it does for the locker room, in terms of can we finish it off and do what we ultimately want to do, I don't think it would be possible. And I think people just like Deshaun Watson better in the locker room. I think they like Jacoby Brissett better in the locker room. And I think, to be honest, Andrew Berry likes those two guys more than they like Baker Mayfield. It's close on the field, but I would lean towards sticking with Brissett for 11 and Deshaun Watson for the last few games.
All right.
And Jay would go with Baker. All right, moving on.
No, I tell you, I thought a lot about this. This was not easy.
Really?
This was not easy.
It's not
for me.
easy. I agree.
It's a very, very close call. And there were things that I talked myself into going the way it is. You know I'm an optimist, Mike. I have to believe in this because that's what I have.
I know.
So I'm trying to talk myself into this is it. This is the best way to go. And then I'm also hearing all of the cheers from 2020. Those happened. I know people want to think they didn't happen. They happened.
Yep.
And I know to Bull's point, it's 1 year. That's more than we got with Jacoby.
One more quick point on that. You
Sure.
want to build a bond with your teammates, win some games. You
Well,
win some games,
that was exactly what I was
you
going to
watch how
address.
quickly they like
That's
Baker.
exactly what I was. When I remember after the 2020 season, and it was kind of when everybody was taking inventory. What did we just see? And that's why I'm so stunned that we're where we are today.
Right.
just one season removed from that. It's stunning to me.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of other people who aren't Browns fans, who are just longtime observers of the team, that say the same thing.
Yeah.
They say it's one of the quickest devolutions of a team they've ever seen.
Think about it. It was 1 year, like 1 year ago today, people were raving and excited about Baker Mayfield and the
1 year
season.
ago, right now.
And I'll bet we could
Didn't
find.
we just see it with the Eagles and the Rams?
The window,
Right.
by the way, was on the way up. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it wasn't now. I think it's at the top right now.
Yeah.
I do, because they say the window is 3 to 4 years depending. I think we're probably just now at the top. Mm-hmm. But after this season, it's definitely on the way down. They've got contract problems left and right all over the place. The one thing that pushes me into the devil you know versus the devil you don't, and this is we don't know what we're going to get, is the fact that I remember too clearly Baker's play in 2020. I can't forget that. It happened. It was real. It wasn't a dream. It happened. Last year felt like a nightmare. That happened too. I know a lot of people want to say you can't use injury for excuse. Fact of the matter is, he was dinged. There's no question about it.
Yep.
In hearing from other quarterbacks that had the exact same injury, non-throwing shoulder, they've said, doesn't matter if it's your throwing shoulder or not. For anybody that can throw a football 70 miles an hour, and there are very few humans on the planet that can do that, the torque involved with your upper body and your non-throwing shoulder is incredible. It's painful. One quarterback said it might as well be your throwing shoulder because you're not going to make throws that you usually make.
Right.
So I can't erase that from history. But I will say, it was super close for me. It was super close for me. And the reason I ultimately, but I also want to say this, neither one of these are the best options. That's why I'm so glad we started with this question. The Browns had the best option in their hands. The best option in their hands was to keep Baker Mayfield. You're under contract. You're going to play football. That's the way it works. You're going to play football for this team for 11 games. And you know what? It's an audition. You want a contract for next year? You got a great group of players around you. This is a worst-case scenario for the Browns, and it's a worst-case scenario for Baker Mayfield. Because in his prove-it year, he's got unproven talent around him, minus Christian McCaffrey.
I actually think he's got good talent around him.
He doesn't. You would take the Panthers roster right now, minus quarterbacks, get them all, and take the Browns players instead of Carolina?
They got a decent offense.
They got a much better.
Listen, here's the question.
What?
Are you willing to right
Jay,
now?
I'm
Bull,
going to answer
finish.
your question.
Okay.
I haven't studied the Panthers roster as deeply as I studied the Browns
Knowing
roster.
it how you know
but
it right
here's
now.
what I know. I didn't realize this because I wasn't paying attention to the Panthers last year. They finished number 2 in defense last year.
Defense is very good.
Okay.
So is the Browns.
Their wide receivers are good. Their number 1 wide receiver is as good as
You're
Amari
changing
Cooper.
your narrative a little bit. Because before, you had said before the Panthers were trash.
I was wrong.
Okay.
Now, here's what I don't know, and I think is trash about them, is probably their offensive line.
Yeah, that's the big question.
That's
and with Baker,
that's a big, and that's huge with Baker.
With Baker, it's big.
And
with
McCaffrey
another
will be there.
quarterback that was
McCaffrey will be
maybe
there
more
2 games.
mobile and bigger.
2 games McCaffrey will play.
And
he'll be injured.
McCaffrey,
And that's the
and
big
McCaffrey
issue.
is not reliable injury-wise.
Right.
Yes.
So here's the question,
However,
Bull. Would you trade the Browns? Just trade.
Right.
We'll take the Panthers. You take our guys. Would you do that?
I would not.
Okay.
However,
So that's
it's
my
not as
point.
big a gap as I thought a few months
It's
ago.
a big. The gap is big. You're right. I don't know. What is it? I don't know. I don't know what it is. But it's a discernible gap. I don't think you're going to find anybody in football that would say, "Give me Carolina's team."
Right,
I mean, when you look at the experts and
there's
what they're
a lot of
predicting,
people
even
that
with
think
a bad
Carolina's an up-and-coming team.
Sure,
with
they
their
are,
roster.
and they are an up-and-coming team.
But-
and you know
but-
what? I said yesterday on the show that they're right now the number 1 team. The Vegas does a bet every year, worst to first, and that's all the teams that finished last year. Which one of them has the best chance to finish first this year? They're running away with that.
Right,
Doesn't mean
and
they're going to do
the
it.
conference
Well,
is
they have no
garbage.
chance of doing it.
No.
But
Well-
why would anybody pick them to finish first? Tom Brady's in the division.
A lot of folks are doing it. Well, no, all those teams
Yeah.
that finished last, with the exception of the Ravens, I think the Ravens have the best chance. I would bet the Ravens, and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah, right.
Because I know what the Ravens are. But you know how the media and some fans, and particularly bettors, get caught up in storylines? This storyline is one of the biggest we've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
But the
And
Panthers
people
do
love
have
that
good
story.
receivers.
They have
and
some
if
talent.
McCaffrey's healthy,
They have some
he's
talent.
great.
but
Which he
here's
will be
what
the
I'm
first
saying.
game.
Here's what I'm saying. Back to my original point.
Yeah.
The Browns had in their hands their best case scenario.
Well,
And that best case scenario was also Baker Mayfield's best case scenario.
Well, here's the thing. You got to understand. Yes, Baker Mayfield has some sort of pool where, hey, this is the best case scenario. He can come back and he can do his thing. We can do our thing. But here's the reality. There's people in that locker room. They're like, no, we're not taking it.
Yeah,
I'll go
Robbie
right
Anderson also was like, no. And the second Baker Mayfield walked into the locker room, that's my boy right there.
But no. Robbie Anderson ain't Jadeveon Clowney. Robbie Anderson ain't some of these guys on defense.
If the Browns were to have lost Jadeveon Clowney, it's not like they lost Myles Garrett. Let's be clear.
I mean, you got to think about it. Oh, that's devastating. You lose Jadeveon Clowney. He's one of your best run defenders. So now you have below-level defensive tackles and no defensive end.
And by the way, it's convenient for a player to say after he's made his decision, I was only coming here because
I'm not
Deshaun
factoring
Watson.
that in.
Players chase the money.
I'm not factoring that in my call on this.
I didn't.
I'm factoring in the fact that there are, and I'm not even going to go on record and say what it is, but there's superstars who said, no, I don't want Baker Mayfield back here. That's a level.
The bottom line.
Well, publicly?
The bottom line.
No,
to
they're
me,
not going to say that publicly.
Why not? He's gone.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Why would you come out and say that?
Because he's gone.
Nobody comes out and says that.
Oh, it's happened many times.
I mean, but for professionals?
Yeah, it's happened.
Who?
In the history of pro sports, nobody has ever said, I'm glad he's gone.
Well, not against a quarterback. No.
It's happened. It has. It's happened.
Why-
I don't have my Rolodex of all sound bites here in front of me, but
I don't think it's
Bush,
that common.
Look, we're getting off track.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have a Rolodex of sound bites?
It exists. It's on Google.
I think the bottom line, guys, is Baker Mayfield's an average quarterback. Jacoby Brissett is a below-average quarterback. And Deshaun Watson is a great quarterback.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
All three are true.
Okay?
All three are true.
So I ultimately would rather have a below-average quarterback who knows his
For 2/3
limitations
of the season.
for 11 games and a great quarterback for 6.
Yeah.
Now, he might, to be fair, he might not be great when he first plays because he may be rusty. However, I'm willing to take a chance on that.
You
Rather
said
than an
something
average
interesting.
quarterback who has no. ESPN just revealed, it was voted on by guys and coaches around the league, the top 10 quarterbacks in all these different categories.
Right.
Arm
I saw
strength.
that. I saw that.
Baker wasn't in the top 10 on any of them.
Doesn't need to be.
Not one.
And I'm okay with that.
Because he's not.
I didn't see Jacoby
Yeah.
Brissett in the top 10 either.
But he's not either. Nobody's
Right.
arguing that he is.
No,
but a lot
my
of
point is-
But my point is that a lot of Browns fans think he should be on these.
No, they don't. I don't know.
Absolutely.
If they do, they're delusional.
Absolutely.
If they do, they're delusional. I think Baker Mayfield has proven what he is, and here's how. Great year, awful year. Great year, awful year.
Yeah.
That's what he is. Average it out, he's in the middle. He's an average quarterback. However, you said something that was interesting to me because when I was going through the scenarios and I looked at the schedule, when I was doing this, I'm like, I tell you what, that schedule,
Pretty brutal.
it's not easy.
No.
I mean, no NFL schedule is
And Baker
easy.
has never beaten good teams.
No NFL schedule. Baker has never.
His record against good teams is extremely poor.
Baker has never beaten good NFL teams. That's provably false. But
You know what I'm saying, Jay.
But-
I'm exaggerating. Come on now.
I know you are.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to keep it real, and here's what I'm saying.
I am keeping it real. He has sucked against good teams. That's a fact.
Cincinnati
overall.
was pretty good last year, weren't
That's
they?
scary.
Well, we can point to one or two games.
Oh, he's beaten one or two good teams.
His record against good teams is terrible.
Okay, he beat
That's
a
a fact.
Pittsburgh team in the playoffs. They must have been pretty good.
Jay, I can give you 12 examples of when he's lost to good
And
teams.
there's
You know that.
probably 12 examples
No,
where
there
he's
isn't.
beaten good teams.
No, there isn't.
You're going to tell me
his
didn't
record
beat 12
against good teams is terrible.
I can't talk to you because you have forgotten the past.
No, I'm stating a fact
you've
and you're
remembered
ignoring it.
All of the bad.
His
your
rec-
fact that you say you're stating
His
was,
record against good teams is terrible.
what is it?
I don't know it off the top of my head. I know
okay.
I've looked it up a million
I don't
times.
either.
Someone
As a
online
fan.
tell us what his record
It's
is.
ridiculous.
So, here's
he
what we have
never
to get
comes
to.
through when it matters in the
Bull,
clutch. Never.
You use
Never.
words like always and never, and that's dangerous because it
Absolutely.
it
It's called
automatically-
exaggeration.
But it sinks your argument.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does, because
you
it's
know what I
wrong.
mean when I'm saying
well,
it.
when you're making points that are wrong, it sinks your argument.
In
No,
Phantom
it doesn't.
Menace, they said only a Sith speaks in absolutes.
You're
Just
absolutely
something
right.
to think about, you guys. Just so you guys
No,
know.
you're right.
Baker
But
Mayfield has a terrible record
here's a
against
point.
winning teams.
You actually
That's a
made
fact.
my point in something you said earlier, and I'll go back to it. I was going through it, and I said, yeah, I think I did best case and worst case for each guy. And there was very little difference. There was 2 games difference in Baker's best case. There was 1 game difference in the both of their worst case. I had a friend tell me yesterday, whose opinion I trust, tell me emphatically the Browns are going 3-8. That they're going to be 3-8 when Deshaun Watson comes back on the
Right.
field. First of all, it's unknowable. It's an opinion.
It is.
And that's all it is.
That's crazy.
But
no
I
one
will
can
say
be right
this.
about
I-
that.
I will say
unless
this.
they're a time lord.
That's ludicrous.
What he asked me was,
That's crazy.
is that a possibility? And I said, sure, it's a possibility. It's also a possibility they'll go 8-3. This is the NFL.
And then someone tweeted, Jay Crawford claims Browns will go 3-8.
Yeah, that's why I'm glad that I don't live in that world either.
Right.
But here's what I'll say, and Bull did make my point. Bull said, it could be close. Could Baker be worth a game or two? Yeah, he could. When we do these scenarios out, a game or two is the difference between whether or not we get to the playoffs.
In this division?
Right.
Let me see. For me, I don't put it in a realm of whether you're hurt or not. Baker's decision-making process on the field is what gets him. If you go back to 18.
But if you're hurt, that plays into it.
Yes, that does. That plays some.
He didn't have the brain to tell him that he was hurt.
But here's the
thought
thing.
He wasn't hurt.
Here's the thing. But injuries have nothing to do with you throwing into double coverage. Injuries have nothing to do with you misreading defenses. There's times where Baker Mayfield gets in his mind that, I'm going to gunsling, I'm going to do this, and he does not understand what the moment is. He was throwing interceptions. This is the thing you can't get over. Since he was in the league, he's been the #1 guy in the league in interceptions.
Second in interceptions.
Second.
First in turnovers.
First in turnovers.
He sucks. He's unreliable when it comes to turning the ball.
You cannot do that. Like you just can't. Now you could get away with it. I would put Baker out there. Think about it like this: if Baker had the restraints that said, you know what, I ain't got it right now. I'm injured. I ain't trying to make no seam throws. I'm not throwing that ball right there because I really ain't got it. If he would protect the football, the answer would be Baker Mayfield. As a matter of fact, if he protected the football more, they might have not even went after Deshaun Watson.
Now, you know what? That's a great point. And another thing, like the main point I wanted to make here was the two choices that we're picking between aren't the best option.
Right.
The best option the Browns had in their hands, and they bungled that up. Okay.
Right.
So the best option would have been Baker Mayfield for 11, Deshaun Watson for 6. Who's not signing up for that right now?
Yeah.
Okay. But that ship sailed. I put, and you're exactly right, Baker Mayfield, in his mind, still thought, Brett Favre, I can make this throw, when he couldn't.
Right.
Here's what disappointed me most about last season. There were people in the organization that were watching the same crap we were watching.
And they didn't pull it.
Week in and week out and week in and week out, and they kept throwing him out there.
That's the crime.
Why?
I agree.
Jay, it's not
Why?
just about last
if
year.
Shane Bieber is hurt and his ERA goes up to 7,
Yeah.
who's that on?
How many of those?
It's not on Shane Bieber.
How many games?
Get him the hell out of there. He's hurt.
How many games did he play hurt last year, do you think?
Well, I can tell you, 14.
14 games.
How many games did everybody else play hurt in the league? Everybody's
Well,
hurt.
he needed
Yeah, it's
surgery
different.
at week 2.
So did other guys.
Hey, listen, I know that you want to dismiss the injury, and you can't dismiss it completely, but you also...
I don't dismiss it completely.
You can't blame everything on it.
You're blaming everything
I'm
on
not.
it. Yes, you have,
I'm
and so
blaming-
have the Baker guys.
No, what I'm blaming
Yes.
is the Browns front office and their head coach for letting this nonsense continue.
I agree.
When we
You keep
watch
bringing up the one Bengals win. That's what you hang your hat on.
Yes.
Okay?
That's
He'd
was
already
his
been
crowning
injured by
moment.
then.
He
He'd
had.
already been injured.
And he still
So he
played
wasn't
great.
injured for that game?
He was,
All of a sudden
but-
he was miraculously fine?
Listen, no. But what I'm saying is for his entire body of work, that's just like Shane Bieber. A pitcher can be injured, can have a structural injury, either a torn rotator cuff or a labrum tear. He can go out and pitch. He's pitching in pain, no question. I know because I've done it. You can have great stuff and you can trick them. You know how that works in baseball. And so a lot of times that fools the front office into thinking he's not hurt. But the eye test tells you, when we've watched pitchers in the past, you're like, he's hurt.
Right.
I don't care what the front office says. This guy is hurt.
But in the NFL,
You can
guys
tell.
play with injuries more than they do
They
with baseball.
do, but we're talking about an upper extremity injury to a thrower of the football. It's just like a lower body extremity for a runner
But
of
let's
the
look at the
football.
whole scope of 4 years. Again, number 1 in turnovers, number 2 in interceptions. He has a terrible completion
Bull, for
percentage.
every bad stat you give me, I'll give you something positive. that
It
he
really,
did.
I know we're
Because
not allowed
he
to do
played
this.
2
I know we're
years
not allowed
and
to do
he had
this.
2 good ones
but
and
it
2
really
bad
would
ones.
be interesting to calculate. It would be interesting to calculate before you jump on it.
Yeah.
It would be interesting to calculate his statistics over his career without pre-injury compared to post-injury.
Even through the first 3 years, he was amongst the league leaders in turnovers.
Okay.
He had a terrible completion
Even with
percentage.
the injury, he had 17 touchdowns and 13
But I'm just saying
interceptions.
that
It wasn't like it
if
was
we're looking,
more picks than-
we're trying to look at Baker as two different quarterbacks, really, an injured one and a not injured one. That's
Yeah.
really what the argument is for us right now.
Right.
And so I think you have to separate that quarterback and say this is what he played like when he was.
I think we're getting off track.
Mike,
The
would
injury
you
Were
doesn't
we
matter.
ever on track?
No, we weren't.
No.
No,
Well,
I
I got a question for you guys, and we're gonna put a
We
bow
need
on
the
this.
golf joke
Yeah.
book is what we
I
We're going to
forgot
put a
it
bow
again.
on this after this question. We're going to move on to our next topic while we wait for Aditi. But we talk about which would you rather have.
Yeah.
Last week when the Deshaun Watson news came down, we all agreed 9-8 was our predicted record for the Browns with 11 games.
Wasn't there
Brissett.
someone, though, that had I was just talking about the first 11. Didn't somebody say 7-4?
I think Brad did, but overall we had.
That seemed to be the highest.
Yeah.
but
you're
I'm
right.
saying,
It was
overall, when we look
Yeah.
at the full 17 games, we all kind of agreed 9-8 was their record.
Brad. Yeah, and 6-5 after 11.
Yes.
By
it
the
was
way,
first-
Baker Mayfield 7-21 against teams over 500.
That's wonderful.
7-21
That's great.
and
Question.
1-7
Hold on, let
last
me-
year. Like
let me
I
finish the
said, he
question.
sucks against good
Oh,
teams.
that's interesting. 1-7 last year. It was a
Yeah.
lot worse last year than it was for his first
Yeah,
three.
that 6-14 before that was very
The
impressive.
injury might have had something to do with that.
Guys, let me finish this
6-14,
question.
Jay. Before that sucks too.
It
Let's
does.
get
You're
to
right, it
Mikey's
does.
question. Here we
What's
go.
Brissett's? Give me Jacoby's.
So if 9-8
I'm not
was our-
arguing Jacoby's good.
And I'll tell you that Deshaun Watson had a 4-12 season
I'll
and
tell
had
you,
great stats.
And I'll tell you,
Stats
Deshaun
can
Watson
be
went to the
misleading.
playoffs 2 out of 3 years.
Paul,
Baker
you gotta
went
go.
1 out
How
of
many
4.
games did he
Get
win?
into.
Man, I was
In those
just
2
hanging
years,
out,
he won
man.
20,
Deshaun
24,
Watson
24
in the
games.
playoffs.
The amazement part.
See the point?
Hit a couple of
Go
roller
ahead, Mike.
coasters.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Oh yeah, we just talk about roller
Paul,
coasters.
yeah, get the golf joke book ready.
I'll bring it back Thursday.
All right, so if 9-8 was the record with Watson for 6 games, Brissett for 11, what do you guys think 17 games with Baker with this team? What's the record this year? And then
9
we're
and
moving
8.
on.
That's
And then
a
we're
that's a
moving
good
on.
that's a good
10 and
question.
7.
That's a good question.
10 and 7.
Let me see.
I got 10-7. I already did this. I did it last night.
G. Bush will go around the horn that way.
He's
He's healthy.
He's completely healthy.
He's healthy.
How's his relationship? Are they happy right now?
I would go. I would. Yeah.
Okay. What's his what's
What's he
his
eating?
what's the ad
Any
campaign?
off-field
Right.
scandals yet?
I think 10 and 7 would be something. 10 and 7 probably. 10 and 7 right there.
Mike?
I'm gonna say 17 and no, I'd say probably 9-8. Frankly,
All right. Bull?
8-9.
Yeah, so
There you go.
you're consistent then. That's where yours is actually better with Baker than
Yeah.
you had with the combo.
The combo.
So I'm surprised that you went.
Well,
you went.
because here's the thing. There's something to be said. He can give you if you got continuity for 17 games. There's a couple games in there. If he's playing, he can get hot. You know, like there's a couple of anomalies he has every year.
Sure.
The Bengals.
Baker Mayfield is anomaly.
He
Yeah, that's
has an
exactly
anomaly.
what he is.
And so he plays. And then some games he plays above that. It's just like, oh wow, this is it. And then some games it's down there. So I think he's good plus or minus 1 or 2.
one more last point on this that I think we probably are downplaying because of the Baker fury. But I think the assumption that he's just going to come back. Deshaun Watson's going to come back in a game in Houston and just be
Well,
lights out.
it's all speculation.
Of course it is.
I
but
mean, it's all speculation.
Guesswork.
That's what we're doing, right? That's
Yeah.
this is
You know what the
speculation.
beauty
So
of
part
this
of my
argument is, though?
speculation.
The
Sure.
beauty
Part
of
of
this
my
argument, guys,
Yeah.
is that, and it's not going to answer really with definitive clarity this conversation.
Right.
But that's why it's so perfect that we get to see him in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
We get to see him. And listen, there is nobody in the world hoping they're wrong more than me.
Yeah.
And by the way, I'm still picking the Browns to win that game right now.
I think the consensus that we have is, to me, I don't know. I don't think anybody's 100% sure the way Kevin Stefanski is going to utilize his quarterback. I don't know how he's going to use Jacoby Brissett.
But we know this, there's a constant, Kevin Stefanski.
Yes,
Same way he
that's
used
the
Baker Mayfield.
That's the content.
He used Baker Mayfield when he shouldn't have used Baker
That's the
Mayfield.
constant.
And quite honestly, guys, I lost a lot of trust in this organization,
Yeah.
in the front office, and in Kevin Stefanski when week after week after week they kept rolling this dude out there.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, what am I?
I didn't
what am I
understand
looking
it.
at
So
right
my
now?
thought process is,
Particularly when Case Keenum played well.
I can't judge. I don't know if he's going to do that same thing to Brissett. I don't know if he's going to utilize Watson correctly. To me,
Utilize Kareem Hunt correctly.
Well, here's
Yeah.
the thing.
It's a
They're
question
going to be
mark.
utilized in all likelihood the same way they've been utilized last year. So
That's
there's your
not
test
great.
case.
That's
Well,
not
they
great.
No,
should.
it's not
That's
great.
not good.
It's
They
not
shouldn't.
good.
You'd think the coach
But
would
listen,
adjust.
it cannot become an excuse.
Right.
If the Browns come unraveled, it cannot be Kevin Stefanski now when it wasn't Kevin Stefanski last year.
Well, you
Can't
just
be.
blamed Kevin Stefanski for last year.
I did.
Yeah.
I'm saying it was.
Yeah.
But it can't be Kevin Stefanski
Well,
this
it's not
year
an
to
all
you.
or nothing, Jay. It's not an all or
I
nothing.
know, but if to you all the blame for last year went on Baker.
I didn't give all the blame to
He
Baker.
get about 30%. Stefanski get 30%.
I give
Yeah,
Stefanski
split
plenty
it.
of blame.
I split it, and here's why.
I'm not-
Baker's feet shouldn't have been on the field after week 3.
I'm
They
not.
just shouldn't have.
I didn't. The problem is that every time I talk about Baker, people are like, well, last year. I'm not just talking about last year.
You can't. You
There's
gotta talk
nothing
everything.
exceptional about
Right.
him as a quarterback.
No.
He's average over 4 years.
Agree.
He turns the ball over too much.
Agree.
And they had to get better. That's how I agree. I don't think he's terrible.
McNuggets, you know what you did when you put this at the top. You know you wasn't going to get in like you want to.
Yeah, he had on the rundown until when I got there, I go,
get
wait
my
a minute.
breakfast
You think that's going to go until 11:20?
David Bell. We're going to break
Hey,
down
sometimes
David
you know
Bell.
it works,
What's the
we know
internet
it
say?
I
doesn't
would have
work,
had
but we
3
did.
beers before this if I knew that we were going to be getting into this stuff. It's like a Thanksgiving dinner out here.
We asked that same question to the internet, and we're going to get to the answers in a sec. But as always, when we ask the internet a question, it's brought to
Somebody
us
throw me another
Should've done
water.
a poll.
Anthony.
by
We
PCC
should've.
Airfoils. Looking for a job with
didn't
career
think about it
advancement and
this
great
morning.
benefits?
That was a good
PCC
question,
Airfoils
though.
is a leading manufacturer in Northeast Ohio. All locations of PCC Airfoils in Eastlake, Mentor, Wickliffe, and Minerva are hiring for all positions starting at $18 and up, plus get a full benefit package, paid time off,
me a
and a
smile.
signing
Give me a
bonus.
smile, dude.
Apply online at precast.com/careers to learn more.
PCC.
Nice.
Hey, at least we got one today. Yesterday,
nothing.
He was like in such a foul mood yesterday. He's like, I got nothing.
Yeah,
for
I
you.
don't even know what happened
I won't
yesterday.
dance for you today.
Why was you mad yesterday? I forget.
I don't know.
You were angry. You were
I was?
foul.
Well, he
yesterday,
doesn't
yeah.
hold on to things.
He was mad that you guys didn't want to. You were willing to trade Kareem Hunt.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was.
That's
No,
what it was.
no,
That's what it
Don't
was.
bring it back.
No, listen, here he goes. Here he goes. His hand is up. Stop.
Again, it's not about trading Kareem Hunt. It's that there's no wide receiver that we would want that is going to be traded for.
Like he's like, oh, I think he said.
Everybody lives in La La Land and thinks some team's going to trade a really good receiver for him.
the
It's not
thing.
going to happen.
He's like, I think he said something about your mom yesterday. Grenade into the room.
Jay obsessing over my he never wins a good game, parsing my words.
Wait till tomorrow.
Parsing. No, I used your words.
I know, but you know what I
Parsing-
meant. You know what I meant.
I don't.
Yes,
I will
you
tell
do.
you, I'm with Mike. I do take turn, and I learned this through a long life of. No, I'm not going to go there.
Look, see?
I'm not going to go there. You
See?
probably know where
See?
I'm going to go.
See?
When you spend a lot of your time with a woman, you damn well better check your words.
No.
And I learned that.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
speak in hyperbole sometimes.
I know, not sometimes. You tend
That's
to live
my
there,
thing.
and that's okay. And I do understand that,
And-
but I will pounce on it when you say
Fine.
always and never. Those
But
are
obviously
almost
he's
never
not
true.
never beaten a good team.
Right,
But as we've shown, he has not played well against good teams overall.
And I will definitely listen. I will give you that. The reason I went with him is because I gotta go
That's
with
fine.
Jacoby for 11.
I agree.
And I don't know where we
I
are going to be
agree.
when we get to 12.
I agree. It's a
I
good
will
debate.
tell you. I will tell
It
you
is
what,
a good debate. I agree.
if
It's
you-
not an
great
obvious
If you
decision.
love
It's a
these
loud
guys
debate.
going back and forth, you might want to subscribe.
ahead, Mike. Give
Hit
us
that
the-
notification
give us the
bell
Twitter read.
so you don't miss any of the Bull and Jay's argument,
Yes.
especially come week 1. We go right down to Carolina, and if you think this is crazy, let them lose
Wait
then.
until-
Wait
That
till
Monday
then.
That's
is
going to be the
be
greatest
epic.
show that Monday.
And
One
here's
way-
the thing,
either way.
Here's the thing. Somebody asked me yesterday, are you actually going to root? I'm like, no, I'm not going to root. I'm not going to root against my team. I don't know how to do
You
that.
have to root for me to be crushing Baker on that Monday.
You're absolutely
You have to root
right.
for it.
And listen, I will come in with a bowl of crow, and I would gladly eat it uncooked.
Yes.
Feathers and all.
As much as we've argued, you want me to be right on
I
this
want
one.
you to be right so bad, Bull.
Can you imagine though if it's the other way
Oh,
No,
my God.
No, I
I'll
can't.
eat-
Hey,
hey,
listen, and here's the problem. I
Yeah.
won't be able to sit here and say I told you so.
Right.
I'll be so sick.
Yes.
Because again, I wanted this guy to be the quarterback for the first whatever games until we got Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was for it, and everybody killed me, and there were others that were for it. DeQuell, chief among them.
Brad has been
Tim Couch.
Brad's
also,
been arguing for that too.
You're right. And you know what? I do dismiss the fact, and I'm not going to dismiss the chemistry thing, because someone once said in sports, what's the most valuable component to a winning team? And then the next question is, well, what sport?
Right.
And then the right answer is all sports.
Well, Tom Hamilton just talked about it yesterday with the Guardians.
It is, and we saw it in that
Yes.
95 team. And with
Yes.
this team, it's chemistry. You can't buy it. You can't create it or
Young
it
Cavs
happens
team. Look at our young
organically.
Cavs team.
Cavs
That's what
have
they're
it.
founded
right.
on
And,
right
and,
now.
and this team had no chemistry last year. Now, I think there was a myriad of reasons. The OBJ thing split the locker room.
That's crazy.
But that isn't going away.
No.
It still would have been in the room this year with Baker. And you try to factor that stuff in. You said something on our conference call earlier this morning where you said, can you take out of the equation
I just meant I was personally leaving out the players don't like Baker
Yeah,
stuff. I
and
was
really-
leaving that.
and
It's
that's
hard
the
to
way-
do that. I
Right.
was taking that out of
and
the equation.
because you take that out,
Yeah.
because you take that out, that might have switched it the other way for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm telling you, when I started going through the games and looking at the defenses and Baker's strength and what I think is Jacoby's strength, I had somebody send me a Jacoby stat sheet yesterday that was terrifying. It scared the hell out of me. And I'm not even going to read it.
How about this main one that he's 28 and 32 career?
That was one of
That's
them, but
one.
the other one was the passing yards per attempt.
Yeah.
It's low.
Gentlemen, it's not low.
No, nobody's-
It might be the lowest I've ever seen.
But
for
nobody's
a guy.
arguing Jacoby's very good. Well, some of our fans are trying to argue
Well,
that
no,
now.
listen, you got to argue that he's tenable if you're going to get to the.
I think he can hold up. He won't turn it over,
Right.
and he can hand it off well.
Internet.
And if we're going to be a run-driven team, no
We got to
question
get
about
to
it.
internet responses here. We
By
teed
the
it up
way-
a few minutes ago.
Internet.
10 seconds, Mikey. 10 seconds, I promise.
No one. Wait,
Nine,
before you go, no one
8.
responds to this 10
I'm
seconds.
shutting
No
up.
response. 10
Everyone shuts
seconds.
up.
It is funny, though, that we are going to react crazy to that first game when really one game itself doesn't prove anything.
No, it
but
doesn't.
we will treat it as if it means everything.
It's the Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Mikey.
Go ahead.
All right, so we did ask the internet the same question. Would you rather have?
Oh, did you
Brissett-
do it in a poll?
We did a poll. Yup.
Oh, good. I didn't see the poll. Okay,
On
good.
YouTube.
Excited about
we
the
had
poll.
some
I didn't see it.
answers.
That's why I didn't see it. And that'll make it official.
We
Yes.
had close to 300 results. 76 chose Watson and Brissett combination over Baker.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
76%.
76%
Okay.
So
chose
3 out of
Watson
4
and
fans,
Brissett.
and that doesn't surprise me. For the same reason I wanted
many
to. It's
women
what we
voted?
have.
Right.
It's what we have.
Yes.
Yeah.
We cannot tell the demographic of the voters. But we did
Some of
ask
our fans
Twitter-
are starting to overhype Brissett. I will give you that.
We did ask
We
Twitter
do
that
this.
question,
This is a
and we
Browns
got-
thing.
That's what
we're
we
like.
do.
He's just been waiting to get good until
Yes,
he got
right,
to this
exactly.
organization.
Half our fans
I
think
love
Josh
it.
Dobbs could be a
We're
starter
such
for half
idiots.
the teams. Go ahead.
Listen, the Josh Dobbs crowd
They're going
needs
nuts.
to take a backseat.
They're going nuts.
Yep.
Oh my God, I'm hearing from people. Why isn't he going to be the starter?
I know. There's
Right.
people around
Because he did it against guys that are selling insurance.
Mikey, give us what do you got?
We have 3 responses to the internet question. The last one I think is the most appropriate, but we'll
Okay.
start with the first one here. This is from Matt Mackin. He said, probably 17 with a completely healthy Baker. If the Watson suspension was 9 or less, it isn't even a question. Middle of the schedule is brutal no matter who
Well,
the
that's why it's a
quarterback
perfect
is.
question.
Yeah,
11
that's why.
games.
Because
of 11
honestly,
games.
I did that too. I said, what if the suspension was 8 or 9?
Oh, then it's
it was
easy.
easy.
Right, yeah.
It was easy for me. It's the 11 that I
makes
couldn't
it
get
perfect.
over.
11 made the debate perfect.
It really did. Okay,
Here's the
number
second
2.
response. Another nice, relatively well thought out answer. This is from Dale. Dale says, we've seen where Baker can get us playing at his ceiling with a loaded roster and weapons. I'm ready to see something else for better or worse.
That's and
What
you
is
know
it? What a
that's
ringing
fair.
endorsement of Jacoby Brissett.
You're turning the page. You're turning the page from okay, we've seen what a playoff win looks like, but that's not enough. And you know what? I'm glad that the fan base is there. I'm not.
At least that guy is.
I'm not. I think you steadily build to a Super Bowl in this league. You
Yeah.
take steps. But I'm surprised at the number of fans that were ready to turn the page from something that they hadn't tasted in 30 years. I really am. I
they're
was surprised by that.
they're a fickle bunch. They really are.
I know, but you know how these fans are.
Yeah.
When you've been kicked for 30 years in the teeth,
Right.
and then you beat your arch nemesis in the playoffs, and the
Yep.
fact that the shine of that only lasted 8 games into the next
This is
season.
a very old man thing to say.
Because people are being realistic about their ceiling with Baker. I think
But
that's
do you?
ultimately why they
But
did.
we didn't used to be realistic, is what he's saying.
It's
So
good
what
that people
changed?
are
And is it
getting-
younger
Right.
people who are less patient with this sort of thing? Do you think it's the younger fan base, the kids
Well,
these days?
I'm 57, and the reason I'm done with it is because I don't know how many seasons I'm going to watch as
But
a
I'm
fan.
saying, like, we Gen Xers, Boomers, we hang
Maybe.
on. Maybe we hang on to these things more. Whereas the younger generation is like, if it didn't work for me last year, get it the hell out of
Well,
here.
that's
Try something
possible.
else.
That's possible.
I think the Baker Bros are generally 40 to 60-year-old white dudes. Pretty much, right?
The best demo, am I right?
Yeah, it is a solid
And we
demo.
have one more internet response that we got to get to before we do top
Okay,
let's
5
do
real
it.
quick. Then we'll get to
First of all,
Aditi, what's your top
are
side?
there any black Baker Bros?
Good question.
Oh my God, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not many.
Yeah.
I
There's
like-
But they
One
hang out
guy.
with Chad.
There's
They hang out
some-
with
there's
Chad.
some.
Can I make
There's
an
some.
observation? I think it's
Yeah.
very dangerous to do what you're doing.
Oh, I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's not have fun with race.
I'll general.
We got to be able to talk about.
Here's the reason I say that.
Yeah.
Everything in society has become race.
Yes. Well, race
The one thing
factors
that I've
in.
always been proud of athletes and fans about, and I find this to be true. I've seen plenty of brothers stand on both feet and put their hands to their mouth and scream for the white guy that's bringing them victories. And I've seen plenty of white guys that stand on their feet and cheer for black guys that are leading their
Of
team to
course,
victories.
nobody's saying everything is
Right.
racially involved, but didn't the Tim
Let's
Couch
ask- wait,
didn't
let's
the
ask
Tim
T-Bird.
Couch and Achilles Smith debate have something to do with race? Of course it did.
Well, yes,
back in the
certain
day.
things absolutely do, but I never thought race fit into this. I didn't. I think people were trying to pry it in there.
factors in.
Am I wrong, G. Bush? Hold on.
And traditionally, I think it's easier to do it with the quarterback position because there is a race component in traditional standards where black quarterbacks weren't obviously
Well, we're
given a
over
chance.
that, aren't we? I mean, we're way beyond that.
It's getting better. Now, here's the thing. If you look at some of the top quarterbacks, they happen to be African-American. Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson. We keep going on. There's a lot of great black quarterbacks in the league.
Absolutely.
I think Baker Mayfield is it's just like saying, is there any black Trump fans, right? No, there are. His personality lends itself to people. Like it's
a certain brand of people.
He's charismatic.
Charisma.
He's
and it doesn't know
charismatic.
race.
There's guys I used to argue with all the time. DJ Hazmat. He was on the first barbershop show.
I love DJ.
He stood on top of the table like, G. Bush, I cannot believe it. Pittsburgh, we beat the Steelers. I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden he gone. Like he just whoop gone. There are a lot of people. There are a lot of brothers who really do support him. It's just I think it's the brand in which he brands himself that lends it. It's women that support him, black people, white people, old people. They love him.
I know one of my black friends that's a diehard Baker. Here's what he said, and he liked him when he was at Oklahoma, which I did not. When he was at Oklahoma, he was a punk.
Sure.
To me.
Yeah.
Because he took the Oklahoma flag and stuck it in the block O in Columbus.
I actually thought that was funny.
So did my buddy, who said, that's why I like him.
Yeah.
And you bring swag to the party.
Yeah, he's
and
unapologetic.
that changes the equation. And the one thing that Baker Mayfield, rightly or wrongly, brings with him everywhere he goes is swag.
Yeah.
And it's a huge component to a locker room. There were a lot of blacks in the locker room who said, that's my dude right there. He ain't backing down from anybody. And I think that speaks culturally to that.
See? We just had a reasonable conversation about race. There's nothing
Nobody
wrong
got hurt.
Right. Okay, top five.
We got top five. Aditi should be on any second.
Great.
As soon as she does, we'll get in here. But today's top five, we're going to talk receivers. We didn't get time to do it. We'll do it with Aditi. But the 5 best pass catchers in Browns
I
history.
can't believe you got to 5.
And as Anthony, Earl, and myself were going through this list yesterday, we
By the
threw
way,
out some
not
names.
history, Mike. You got to
Or
clear
not
that
history.
up.
This is in relative. The pictures had to be.
70s.
Well, as Mike said, if you don't have a color picture,
That was it, yes.
you're not included in the list.
Yes.
So,
I like that. I love
I'm
that.
sorry for the 40s and 50s crews.
Sorry, bro.
But there are colored pictures of Paul Warfield.
Yeah.
And he's on the list.
Good.
Shout out
He
to Paul.
should be.
Shout out. Yeah.
So,
He absolutely should.
without further ado, the saddest list of the 5 best receivers in any team's history. Let's get it going. With number 5, Braylon Edwards. This was really a one-hit
he's
wonder
on the
here.
top 5.
Listen, it was a
Stomach
one-hit
hurts.
wonder, but in that one season, he was a second-team
Yeah.
All-Pro and came in second in the NFL with 16
Well, Josh
touchdowns.
Gordon's
That one
gotta be on the
season
list
was
now.
better in
McNuggets,
totality than a
Nate
lot of
Hill
other
is
guys.
second. Good year,
McNuggets,
too.
if you go search G. Bush and you go watch my video on Braylon Edwards' name, underrated, Braylon Edwards had one of the greatest statistical seasons
Yes.
ever
Yeah.
as a
Unquestionable.
receiver.
Problem was, it was just one season.
was
But
one
not
year.
better than Josh Gordon.
No.
It
was
wasn't
not
better than Josh Gordon, and it also coincidentally
Yeah.
was the same season Randy Moss caught 23 touchdowns for the Patriots.
So kind of
completely
overshadowed.
overshadowed.
This guy had like 17.
He had 16
Yeah.
touchdowns.
And
Yeah,
his
that's
beard
crazy.
game was always on point.
Yeah, he was.
Always on
He
point.
had to have that laser
was
done, right?
perfect.
He had the
Yep.
hair
Not a
removal,
flaw.
so it was the
We
perfect
got Aditi,
beard.
so we're going to run through the rest pretty quickly.
4 is
Here
going
we
to
go.
be Josh Gordon, right?
No. Josh Gordon's coming. Number 4.
Oh, he's on the list.
Wow, he's
How about
further
Webster
down.
So 2
Slaughter?
of our guys played
Sure.
one season. It was
Yep.
great.
Webster
Webster Slaughter was a
Slaughter.
good
Had
solid
to be
wide
on the
receiver.
list.
Yes.
Had to be on the list.
Happy to see him.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, we're
Nice
going to
work.
keep moving.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon's one season was so good,
Yeah.
he came in number 3.
I mean, how sad is that?
I know, it's
that
awful.
Josh Gordon, who
Brutal.
spent more time in Cleveland suspended for marijuana, which is absurd,
This is not
than
yeah.
playing, is the 3rd best pass catcher.
And
in
this
the
is
last
not
50
just
years for the
receivers,
Browns.
everyone.
Do
This
you
is
think
pass
that he makes the
catchers.
Chiefs roster?
Probably not.
I don't know. He's not the same guy anymore.
I think he, I would have said that originally, but then when you go look at who they have, like
don't have
obviously
much.
Kelsey's going to catch the majority of the balls there.
Gotta
but
see
with
what he
Tyreek
has.
Hill being out,
got Juju.
He was
you know what's
magic when he
interesting?
was.
And I wanted to ask you guys this today. Aside from that, if Gordon doesn't make the Chiefs,
Yes.
do you call him up?
Yes.
I call him up
Yes.
at New York
God.
second.
Yes.
I do. I call him
Right now.
I call him.
If I'm a
We will save
Mikey's
that
got to
debate.
go. We got a Didi
We
coming
got-
up.
We got,
Aditi,
we
so
got
we got-
medical
that's-
marijuana in
that's a
Ohio
good
now,
question.
too.
That's
Keep
right,
it moving,
leave him
Mikey.
out.
Keep it moving.
Good
Keep it
question.
moving.
Number 2,
Yeah.
we mentioned him, Paul Warfield.
Yeah,
Probably
absolutely.
the best receiver
Yes.
in Browns history.
Yeah, I agree. And number 1, we
So
all
sad
know
you got to go
number
back
one.
so long to find
Yeah.
out.
Number one was so
yeah.
easy.
It was a
Easy.
pretty easy number 1. Ozzie Newsome. We wanted to do best receivers, but
Yeah,
He
when
was
you
a
had
tight end.
pass catchers, I knew where you were.
He
going.
had to be
That
in
was
there,
the giveaway.
Yeah.
If we could have used like the 1940s guys named like Earl Two Hands Jones,
And by the
or something
way,
like that.
I'll say once again, I don't care about the championships in the 40s and 50s. I know people are obsessed with it. There was like 8 teams in the league. It's not the same. People that want to argue it's the same as winning the Super Bowl, that's stupid.
My
It's not.
dad played defensive end,
It's
I think,
not.
back then for
Yeah,
the Browns.
and he also ran the hardware store 8 months out of the year.
Yep.
The
And,
Browns were great at that
right.
time. It's not the same
He
as
was
winning the Super
5'10",
Bowl.
160, playing
Yep.
But
defensive
you know,
end.
biggest
I know
guy
you
on the team.
discount do you discount like the 40s and 50s or the pre-Super Bowl era?
No,
Because
well-
when the Browns won the championship before it was called the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
in 63 season 64, I guess. Or no,
That
it was
to me
64.
has a
Guys, we
is
got
above
Aditi,
the
so
others.
let's
Yeah, it's above the others.
let's bring
Yeah.
Aditi in.
Go
She
ahead.
was on the sidelines for
Sorry,
the Browns Eagles preseason week 2. Got
She
some great
nailed
nuggets,
it.
and
She
now she's
nailed
joining
it.
us here live.
First of
on
all, a round of
UCSS.
applause for Aditi, everybody.
Nice
Please.
job.
A round of applause. Aditi, you are absolutely killing it. You're my favorite sideline reporter I've ever seen, and I'm probably saying that because I know you. But I also know Aaron Andrews. I know a lot of them. You are killing it. You are going to change the role of the sideline reporter. I feel it coming. You're personable. You're smart. You ask great questions. And your question to Myles Garrett, I stood up when I was watching the game and was applauding you. That was great.
Because I
love
want
when
him
you
playing
started that.
offense. I want him playing
I know,
offense.
it was great.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you asked him because we've discussed that here on the program.
The only thing that would have been better is if Joe Batonio would actually have picked you up instead of kneeling down. Like if he would have picked you up. I don't know if you would have liked it, but it would have been funny.
no Browns players are putting their hands
That's
anyway.
true. Good point, good point,
You
yeah.
can't pick no woman
No,
up.
no,
Let's all stop praising her long enough for her to
it's
say
really
hi.
funny actually because people keep commenting on that, and now I'm starting to take it personally. Like I can't have the job because I'm too short. You know, like
No, I'm
come
just
on
saying
now.
'cause you brought it up that he was willing to kneel for the or whatever, squat down for the interview.
Only because we were joking about how the previous week I looked, it was so jarring seeing me
Right.
next to David Njoku. And then David Njoku actually said to me, "How tall are you?"
Right.
And because of that, and because, you know, the Twitterverse started saying that I needed a milk crate or that I looked ridiculous or whatever,
It doesn't look
Batonio very kindly said, "Would it be better
Yeah.
if I kneel the whole time?"
What a gentleman.
And then of course someone, I can't remember off the top of my head who it is now, but someone tweeted a picture of me and Myles Garrett and said, "Honey, I shrunk the sideline reporter." To which I responded, "Who doesn't look small next to Myles Garrett?"
course.
I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Hey,
Who does not look small next to Myles Garrett?
You're not short for a woman. You're not short for a
No,
woman.
I think she is.
Not really. Maybe you're.
Aditi, settle this.
You know what? In theory, it is actually short, 5'3". I think the average height in an American woman is maybe 5'5".
She's a giant compared to my wife. My wife is like 4'9".
Is she really?
4'11". Sorry,
Aditi.
honey.
My mom is
Yeah, she's
4'11". My
Aditi.
my
mom's
sister's
5'1".
like 4'10".
Aditi, if I made you if I fashioned you like a backpack style footstool type thing that you could wear and then just like take off and put down and step up on, would you use that or would you find that, would you think that
that's
people
not too
wouldn't
bad.
respect that?
Totally.
You would use
I
it?
would
Okay, good.
100% use it. I should send you a picture of me standing on a chair next to Cam Hayward. And I'm still, of course, the defensive end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm still shorter than him, standing on a chair.
I
But
think
hey,
this is good. This will strike fear in the heart of like our opponents if they can see how giant all of
I
our
think
players
this
are.
is
You're making
great
everyone on our team look
perspective.
huge. This is great.
Yeah, don't you think this is tremendous perspective? If you're sitting at home watching on your couch, you're getting a sense of how large these men are and the force of the collisions when they're hitting each other.
That's
Although,
a great
of course,
point.
as you heard Myles Garrett tell me, he wants to be catching the ball a little bit and asked me to lobby Kevin Stefanski for him to run some routes.
Please tell me you have.
Not yet, but I will be sure to do that this
should.
week. Although I'll tell you, this Browns wide receiver room does have some potential.
Yeah.
Oh, you think?
Is David Bell really 6'2"?
That's what he's listed.
Nah, that's what we pretend.
Yeah, I don't know. I talked to him after the game. He was my interview post game. I don't know that he's really 6'2".
We pretended Baker was 6'1" for a couple of years there, and he was not.
Baker was most definitely not 6'1", but that's okay. I mean, I think some of it has to do with how high you wear your hair.
I know you won't tell us the truth. I know you won't tell us the truth, but who was the toughest sideline interview for you? And I'll answer it for you. It was Amari Cooper. That guy was a brick wall.
I tried. Come on.
I know you did. You did great.
You made a little bit of an
But
effort,
yeah,
didn't you?
no,
think?
you did great. I was like,
Well,
come on, buddy.
When he said
Give
that
her something.
Give her
when
anything.
Cooper said Brissett sees the field from a quarterback, from a wide receiver's perspective, and then you had a great follow-up, asked him to kind of explain what that means, which was a great follow-up because I was like, I don't really know what that means.
Right.
And he couldn't really explain it.
I like that he had no pizzazz, though. I want him to be boring and, like, good and solid and not doing, you know.
You know what's funny, though? He is a little bit sneaky funny. Kind of like Nick Chubb, right? Like Nick Chubb very publicly just always seems extremely level. We make such a big deal if we see him laughing on the sideline, like, oh my God, Nick Chubb just laughed. But if you're actually in the running back room, I am told, he does cut it up. He is quite funny. Kareem Hunt insists that it's Nick Chubb that's got the wry comment first. And then it's funny because David Bell said that Amari Cooper is also has a sneaky sense of humor to him.
They hide their personalities extremely well.
The first day that I interviewed Amari Cooper, he sat down on the set on Browns Live, and we did actually get him laughing a little bit. So, I mean, some of them are harder than the others. What can I do?
You did great.
Jacoby Brissett, did you hear that one? Where Jacoby Brissett and I were talking about Nick Sirianni's kids, and I said, well, will you babysit mine? And he said he's too expensive for me.
I saw it.
He said he charges a lot. He said, sure, I'll watch your kids, but I charge a lot.
Aditi, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this football question. Would you trade Kareem Hunt?
It depends on what I could get.
Well, here's the thing.
I know that Adam thinks this is ridiculous, but let me tell you. I'm not saying that the rest of the running backs put together are equivalent to Kareem Hunt, but Kareem Hunt is under contract for just one more year. He very obviously wants a significant payday. The Browns don't think that are not saying that he's not worth that payday, but how much money are the Browns going to commit to the running back room? And they've already committed a significant amount of money to Nick Chubb. So now you've got Dearness Johnson, who is, forget the arguably, he is the best number 3 running back in the NFL. Then you've got the rookie Jerome Ford, who at the start of camp, I told y'all was a great pass catcher, that they really liked him in that way. But then you saw him breaking ankles. He's got a sneaky quickness to him. He's very reliable. He is very hungry. He's a great student. And then you've got Kelly. What's going to happen to Kelly? I actually just said on Pittsburgh radio that if you can make a trade, I mean, it probably won't happen, but if the Browns have to cut Kelly, then the Steelers should snatch him up because that young man is really impressive.
Somebody's going to get
So if you can generate some sort of significant value out of Kareem Hunt, knowing that you only have him for a year, knowing that you're unlikely to be able to pay him as much as he wants a year from now.
What would it take for you, Aditi?
I don't know. You know, like earlier, I thought draft picks are always good, but the Browns already have. What do they have, Jay? They have 8 draft picks next year, right?
Yeah, we don't need draft picks.
But here's the thing.
Contributor.
Here's the thing, Aditi. Here's the problem. I'm always, if I'm a GM, I listen to every team. I get it. But the only way I would trade Kareem Hunt, I understand he's a free agent, but this year I need him because the only thing special about the Browns offense for the first 11 games is their running game. If you trade Kareem Hunt, your running game is no longer standout special. It's still really good, but it's not standout special because you became the only.
That's where I disagree.
Yeah, I do too.
See, I disagree.
Those other backs are not
I do think it's outstanding. No, I do think it's outstanding with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
But I also think that Nick Chubb, Dearness Johnson, Jerome Ford could be special too. And I think we've seen that when Dearness Johnson has had to step up, and Jerome Ford had that outstanding first outing, and he followed it up with another good second outing.
I know, but Aditi, Jerome Ford is a rookie. We don't know what he is. Kareem Hunt is one of the 5 best running backs in the league. You don't know what
Dearness Johnson was until he got a chance. Dearness Johnson was a guy working on a fishing boat.
But he's not one of the 5 best running backs in the league either. Like, he's a nice player.
Well, sure. I'm not saying give him away. Adam, I agree with you on this one. I'm not saying, just toss him on the junk pile or give him away in some way. I'm just saying you need to at least listen and see what's out there. And a team that's desperate for something, you never know.
Who's a good team?
You never know.
But who's a good team desperate for a running back? There is none.
Not for a starting running back. I don't know. But then again,
Aditi, let me help you with that.
I'm only trading Kareem Hunt for a top 20,
I need to hear a conceivable trade. I need to hear a conceivable trade.
Here's where this kind of goes off the rails.
Yeah.
You're saying that he's a top 5 running back.
Yes.
You said top 5.
Yeah.
That means he's better than 27 teams' best running back.
Yes.
Okay. Who needs a running back or who needs to upgrade at running back?
Okay, Jay, is Patrick Mahomes better than Joe Burrow?
Come come on. What does that have to do with this discussion?
You're not. If you have a
Don't
good
take us
running
down
back,
that route.
you're not trading a top wide receiver just to get better at the running back position. Teams don't do that.
Aditi, you know from covering these things for as long as you have.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the trade that happens is the one that surprises everybody.
Then why can't anyone name a team that needs a running back that would trade a good wide receiver? Nobody's been able
by
to do
your
it in 2
own
days.
definition, 28 teams can upgrade at running back if they get Kareem Hunt.
So give me the team that would do it.
There's 28 of them.
No.
You just said he's a top 5 running back.
Jay, if you have the number 9 running back, you're not trading a good wide receiver for the number 5 running back.
Somebody has the number 27 running back.
Okay, and that team is either a bad team or doesn't have wide receivers. You can't. Give me a team.
Aditi, hold on. Aditi.
Give me a team.
Aditi, earlier they were arguing about race, so it could be worse. Believe me, you missed that part.
And it wasn't even about me.
We involved him at the end.
I'm saying the Baker Bros are pretty much all white, 95%.
The argument, Aditi, was
that's true.
Everything's not race.
Yeah,
and
that's
Baker
true.
Bros don't all have to be white.
We're not going back to it. We are not going back to it. Aditi, here's what we need to hear here's what I really think we need to hear to actually settle this.
Yeah.
Someone come up with a conceivable, believable trade option from a team, and even if it's totally made up, someone come up with an example of something that
Nobody
makes sense.
can. That's what I'm waiting for.
Can someone come up with one?
I give you two.
The burden of the proof
I'll
is
give
on
you
you.
2 wide receivers that I give you a 1% chance of the team trading for. The team trading for Kareem Hunt, Hunter Renfrow from the Raiders, or Terry McLaurin from Washington. I doubt either team would do
Terry
that.
McLaurin is a
team-
top.
They just re-signed Terry
And I'm giving
McLaurin. They just gave him
1%
a
chance of those.
contract.
Aditi, yeah, please.
That's my point. There's no good wide receiver getting traded for Kareem Hunt because most teams value wide receivers a lot more than running backs.
And here's another thing. I don't think that there's desperation right now in Berea over what's going on in the wide receiver room. And
Agreed.
you mentioned David Bell. You threw that up right there.
I like
this
him.
is a young man that's unbelievably heady, who's really smart. We've watched him after practice. I mean, since the spring, he's been pulling Josh Dobbs aside and saying, okay, explain this to me. What are you as the quarterback thinking? What do I need to do as a wide receiver? How do I run this route that makes life easier? Then he's pulling Denzel Ward aside after practice. Tell me some of the things that make your life difficult. What do I need to add to my game to make things more difficult for the DBs that I'm facing? This is a really, really focused, intelligent young man. I'll give you another one. Callie Brownson, the Browns assistant wide receiver coach, told me she's never seen anybody take mental reps better than David Bell.
Wow. Love
and so
to hear that.
obviously we hear that all the time. Oh, a guy's hurt, but he's still taking mental reps. When Callie tells me that, I believe her. I buy it. That this is a guy that is actively, even though he couldn't physically do things for a few weeks, was still going through the paces in every which way he can. And then you've got nobody less than Greg Newsome saying that this guy's got the best hands he's ever seen. And that's another one. You know, he not dropped, that's his phrase. In that Eagles game, you saw a DB poke a ball out. So after the game, I talked to him, and he's like, but I dropped that one, and that one really kills me. And I said, David, the DB did have something to do with that. He poked it out. And he said, there's no poking it out.
Yeah.
He said, that
I
doesn't
love
count.
that.
That's a drop. That's on me.
I love
And a
that.
guy that is that much of a perfectionist, you want. And then, of course, Donovan Peoples-Jones is building on what he did a year ago. Harley is a guy who's only the number 1 wide receiver, caught more balls than anybody else in the history of the University of Miami, who's been showing up. Again, I think there are some good young wide receivers in that room.
Let's hold our
You don't
breath,
know
though.
what you have until they start playing games. And so
Aditi,
far, there's no reason to doubt who they are.
You said that Newsome said that Bell has some of the best hands he's ever seen. Had you talked to them? Did they play each other in college when Newsome was at Northwestern and Purdue?
They
when Bell was
did.
at Purdue?
And
how did that-
David Bell had said that Greg Newsome was the toughest DB he faced in college.
Wow.
So then I went back to Greg Newsome and I asked him, well, what about David Bell stands out? And he said, well, he just catches everything. He said he catches absolutely everything. And then, what's really funny is that they faced each other in college once. And I think that Bell ended up with maybe 78 yards. And he thought it was an awful game, and Newsome thought it was an awful game. Like the two of them just went at it, and neither was pleased with what they did.
That's funny. That's the kind of guy you want.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Watson suspension. Everybody's unhappy.
Yeah, the guy's never happy with himself,
I'll
hates
tell you-
himself if he screws
Wait,
up.
Mike,
That
let me
is
throw-
what we
The
need.
push.
Let me throw one other really cute thing
Please.
about Bell and Newsome out. So Bell was praising Newsome, and he said, he's a really, really intelligent player. He's very smart. He went to Northwestern. And so I said to him, oh, Northwestern, is that better than Purdue? And Bell said, no, I'm not saying that. And he said he would definitely take a Purdue degree over a Northwestern one.
Especially if it's in engineering.
So it's cute, too, when you've got these players that actually feel so strongly about their intellect and about the quality of their education. I think it speaks to who's in that building.
Aditi, are we going to see Jacoby Brissett all during the preseason, or he's in bubble wrap right now?
No, my expectation is we will see him against the Bears. I don't know how much. We'll find out how much Kevin Stefanski is willing to put those ones out there, but I think you are going to see the ones all together. You heard Myles Garrett tell me that he wants to play. He thinks he should. I think that it's important to get that operation down, right? Jacoby Brissett has only worked with the ones, had taken the primary snaps with the ones for 1 week, starting this past week. And again, the simple operation of calling in the plays on the headset, managing the huddle, facing a live rush, all of that is valuable to get in, even if it's just for the process of doing it before it's actually game time down in Carolina.
You think even Nick Chubb plays a couple plays or not him? Probably.
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe?
I don't know that it's rolled out. I mean, maybe. Maybe he gets in there and doesn't even get a handoff. Who knows? I don't really we'll find out later this week when we talk to Kevin Stefanski for our production meetings. But I do expect that we'll see most, if not all, of the line, that we'll see Brissett, that we'll see Cooper. I mean, maybe it's just one series.
I know you talked to Alex Van Pelt. Was it at halftime? I think you talked to him going into halftime. And, you asked him about Rosen coming in, and then Rosen played the second half. There's no point in keeping Rosen, right? It makes, with all the depth at running back in the secondary where they may need some extra roster spots, I'm assuming they're going to keep 2 quarterbacks and let Rosen go. Is that a fair assumption or no?
I don't know I think that ideally he ends up on the practice squad. Right?
Yeah,
because
fine.
you do need a third quarterback. You need a practice squad quarterback. And, this is a young guy who's got a lot of natural talent. And it doesn't, you think about a guy who could be on a practice squad or a guy who could be your third quarterback. I'll flip the whole switch on you. You tell me, who else is out there? Who else do you find appealing?
I thought he had talent out of college. One of the dumbest things I've ever said is that he would be the best quarterback in that draft. One of the dumbest all-time statements I've ever made. And I let the fact that he was Jewish and I wanted a Jewish quarterback to succeed because there's no Jewish quarterbacks. I think that allowed me to bias me for him, but I'll own it. It was embarrassing.
Beating yourself up like David Bell over here.
Well, I call it like I see it. When I screw up, I'll admit it. I mean, I was awful on that prediction. But I at this point, I think Josh Rosen stinks. I don't think he's any better than any of the other schlubs out there. And I would just, if I lost him, I'm not keeping him on the roster just so I don't lose him is the point. If he ends up on the practice squad, that's fine. But if somebody else claims him, I'm not wasting a roster spot on him.
Hey,
I think that's fair.
I want you. I want to see your guy Josh Dobbs play. The fans love him. They love him. Your guy.
Well, he's a good number 2. The trouble is that Josh Dobbs hasn't had the best practices. He hasn't looked amazing at practice. But twice now he's come out under the lights. He's commanded the huddle. He's had some fun plays. I mean, come on, guys. How fun was that one where his undershirt gets ripped off, gets yanked, not ripped off, but a piece of it is hanging. And then he just yanks off the rest of it before he runs in for the touchdown.
Did you tell him you ended up with that piece? Did you let him know?
No, I didn't. And then I forgot. I should have kept it and had him autograph it or something. But I completely, I don't even know where it is.
It'll always be known as the Dobbs shirt game.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how it'll go down in history.
It was bothering me that it was on the field. I'm like, you can't just leave that piece of
you gotta
fabric.
get that.
No.
Come on now.
You know what? For a brief moment, it reminded me of Greg Pruitt and the tearaway jerseys. Do you remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
They were made of paper, tissue paper, and guys would grab a hold of them and just slip right out of their hands, and then the league made them illegal. Hey, Aditi, we got to run. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We'll be watching in the final preseason games. You know what? When the regular season starts, it's going to be Aditi withdrawal. I want Aditi on the sidelines of every Browns NFL game.
Actually,
we might see that, right?
Go. Can I tell you, I do have my first 2 assignments for CBS.
And they are?
I will be a sideline reporter.
Great.
Week 1, Panthers at Browns.
Yeah! There we go.
Browns and Panthers week 1.
Right.
And week 2, Jets at Browns.
Oh,
That's awesome.
nice. That's awesome.
You
worked out
can't
any
quit
better.
me just yet.
You're stuck with us, whether you like it or not.
That's great. Aditi, we're looking forward to it. Have a
I
great
look forward
week.
to you asking Baker why he threw 3 picks in the first half. That'll be fun.
Woo! All right then.
Baker will
Other
not
than
do
hot.
that interview.
Buddy.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah.
Aditi.
You act like you don't know who Baker is. I ain't doing that.
Baker will not do that interview. We know that.
I don't owe you nothing.
I think Bull has to introduce the next guest.
Yeah.
I think absolutely has to introduce the next guest.
All right, let's bring him in from Pro Football Talk to my buddy Myles Simmons. I love Myles. Look at him. Look at him with facial hair. I still think of him as a kid, which is unfair because he was my intern when he was in college. and most of the interns at the radio station were useless. And like every other intern except were pretty much useless. And Myles was like the complete opposite. He was like the most useful guy. I love this. I love him. I keep wanting to call him a kid. I can't. He's not a kid anymore. How old are you now? 30?
I'm 30, yeah. So,
My
I mean, you can
God.
call me a kid if you want. That makes me feel a little bit better, probably, if you do call me a kid. But Bull only thinks this because he had just torn his Achilles. So I was like his bedside nurse. I would go and I'd fluff his pillow.
What a treat.
Like, I'm not lying. Like, it sounds like I'm
100%
lying.
true.
We all
Like,
believe
I
you.
fluff
None of us
his
think you're lying.
pillow. I have to adjust the little chair. You know,
Wait,
sometimes
this
I have to
happened? He
pull the
adjusted your
car
pillow?
around.
yeah, that's
Not at
crazy.
home.
Yeah.
At work.
You gotta feed him grapes.
No, Myles. Let me tell you something.
Fan him.
Even if Myles had not taken care of me when I was injured, I would have still loved him. He's an awesome young man. He's awesome. He's very smart, and he's having lots of success. I'm so happy for him.
Tell us what he's doing.
But now he's with Pro Football Talk. He worked for the Rams, and he's been all over the place. He goes on the show with Florio and kicks Florio's ass on TV sometimes.
Oh, good for you.
You got to put him in his place, right?
That's great.
Yes, it's true. I mean, sometimes Florio says things that are just simply outlandish. So I like to call him out on those things. You know, I got to make sure that he doesn't just say things that are ridiculous.
Yes.
Like how Sam
was my
Darnold
role
is somehow
once.
better than Jacoby Brissett. He's been telling me that, and it's just not true. Oh, look at
Hey,
the nice little graphic. Okay.
Miles, I know that you're a Browns fan, right? Let's get that out of the way. I see the helmet in the background, and
Yeah,
and-
well, can you see the helmet?
yeah, I see the helmet.
Helmet's behind me, man.
And Bull
I
told
can't
us
let it
too
go.
that you're a Browns fan. So I want to ask you the question that we spent the first 30 minutes of the show screaming and yelling about.
Yes.
You have two choices. Okay. You can go the first 11 games with Jacoby Brissett and the last 6 with Deshaun Watson. That's the way they're going to go to war, barring any injuries or bad play. Right. Or you can take Baker Mayfield for the entire season. Which one you taking?
No, I'm not taking the first option. I mean, given everything that we saw, I mean, like, are we saying this in a vacuum, or are we saying this like knowing everything
in a
that we know?
vacuum.
No,
this is in a vacuum.
No,
For this
we're saying that taking into account what Baker did in 2020, what he did in 2021, what Jacoby Brissett has done throughout his journeyman career,
Right.
And also,
But Watson would be quarterback
yeah,
either way next year.
Watson is going to be the 2023 quarterback in both scenarios. So I didn't say that.
Okay, no, I mean, I don't think you can let go of everything that happened with Baker Mayfield and the Browns last year, and it just seemed like there was so much bad blood between those two parties that it just was never going to work anymore. I mean, whether or not we believe, you know, the reporting from Chris Mortensen that the Browns wanted an adult at quarterback, or, you know, the fact that Baker Mayfield, when the Browns reportedly got on the plane, he then put out the, you know, that thing where he's saying basically, I'm done here, goodbye, Cleveland. I can't let any of that go when I think about what it is that Baker Mayfield would bring to the table versus Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Watson. I think the entire organization probably needs to move forward right now. They did before Baker Mayfield was even gone, right? I mean, that's why Mayfield wasn't at any of the offseason program, wasn't at mini camp, all those different things. So I think it's better to just move on, and you have Jacoby Brissett, and you know, with the run game, with the defense, he might be able to keep you treading water until Deshaun Watson can come.
That's the hope. What happens week 1 in Carolina?
I got asked this on the radio yesterday. I was doing another hit, and I said, yeah, Baker Mayfield will throw 3 touchdowns, but he'll also throw 4 picks. So, well, I think we're kind of on the same page there.
Yeah.
But who wins?
The Browns will win. I think that Carolina is a little bit of a mess, right? I mean, I'm not necessarily all that enthralled, let's call it, with Matt Rule and the program he's been running. And I think when you have to bring in somebody like Ben McAdoo to run your offense. Like,
Yeah.
that does not really inspire confidence.
Yeah,
it inspires much confidence
that's
in
true.
me.
That's a good point.
It shouldn't inspire confidence in anybody.
Yeah.
Myles, we talk about Kevin Stefanski all the time. We were arguing earlier and guessing whether Kevin Stefanski put Baker Mayfield in the best position to make plays. What is your confidence level in Kevin Stefanski this year? Does he have to have his best season coaching to get the Browns to the playoffs?
Well, I certainly think he has had a really good season coaching, but I think one of the advantages he has now that he hasn't really had in the last couple of years is a full off-season program. And when you're talking about, having Jacoby Brissett for the first 11 games of the season, that at least helps you in that regard because he's been in and he's going to know the system and he's going to understand the system. And Stefanski's going to understand how to call plays for him in a way that he didn't really understand how to call plays for Baker Mayfield at the beginning of the 2020 season. And so despite that, right, they still went to the playoffs. They beat Pittsburgh without him there on the sideline, which is, I think, one of the biggest testaments to him as a head coach, because if you can implement a program that can be okay without you for one game, then you're probably doing a lot of things right. So I think, he absolutely has to have a good season of coaching, and he has to call great plays, and he has to do this, and he has to do that, and he's got to make sure guys are in the right position to succeed. But I think he can do that in part because he's had this full off season, and so he has a better idea of the personnel, not just at quarterback, but around quarterback for the entire season.
Myles, we've been also debating over the last couple of days this possibility of trading Kareem Hunt for a wide receiver. I'm very much against it unless I could get a top 20, 25 receiver, which I don't think is possible because teams value the wide receiver more than the running back. And then I look at the teams that might really want to trade for a running back, like Houston. They got I don't have anybody, but they're not trading Brandon Cooks for Kareem Hunt. Doesn't make sense for where they're at as a franchise, right? Like, if they're going to trade Brandon Cooks, who they just extended, they're trading them for draft picks. They're not trading him for Kareem Hunt. And I go through all the teams that, might need a running back, and I can't see, people have brought up Philadelphia. Well, they're not trading A.J. Brown. They're not trading Devontae Smith. So who else do they have? So I can't see a scenario that a team needs a running back and is going to trade for Kareem Hunt and give up a clearly starting caliber wide receiver. Do you see any scenario where that could happen?
Well, no, but I would also counter that with this, and that's the Browns' offense is probably better with somebody like Kareem Hunt, who they can get on the field and be a matchup problem if he's out there with Nick Chubb, then teams might be with him just as a running back, if that makes sense.
Yes, it makes total sense.
The Browns receiving core, the Browns receiving core is not, the strongest that there is. I think sometimes it's kind of easy to forget that. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, you guys will never have me on again, I guess. Well, I think it's easy to forget that Amari Cooper is there.
And talk smack on Donovan Peoples-Jones like that? How dare you?
God here in Cleveland.
I know.
He's our
my
guest.
biggest apologies to DPJ.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. It's real suspect.
Right.
And it's a great point.
They have to use him that way. But they have to use him that way, and they should.
Right. And the other thing, though, Amari Cooper is really, really talented, which is what I was going to say before you guys got so mad at me
there
for,
you go. All right.
talking
I like him
badly.
again.
All right. And it's easy to forget that Amari Cooper is because he got traded the weekend before they got Deshaun Watson. So, all of those things, I think, kind of add up to being like, oh, yeah, Amari Cooper's still there. But I think if you have Kareem Hunt and you have Nick Chubb on the field at the same time, it presents these matchup issues because linebackers can't cover Kareem Hunt very well. Safeties are not going to be able to cover Kareem Hunt that well because of what he can do without the football. So I think it's better in Stefanski's scheme, especially to have a guy like Kareem Hunt on the team than it would be to have, I don't know, a B minus level receiver.
100%.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah. I've got a question for you, and that is, what week do you think Jimmy Garoppolo starts for the Browns this year? Do you think it'll be week 1? Do you think it'll be week 2? When do you think he actually goes in? He's obviously going to end up here. So when he ends up here, when do you think he actually starts playing?
What about that is obvious?
I just have a hunch.
What about that is obvious?
I have sources.
Okay.
Mike,
what are your sources telling you?
Mike is hoping for the best coach quarterback, best-looking coach-quarterback combo in NFL
Yes,
Oh my
history.
it
God,
would be,
it'll be
no
Hunkville.
doubt.
It would come in just above Belichick.
Total Hunkville. So do you think Garoppolo is a realistic possibility for the Browns, and how do you think that would work out?
See, that's a better question. I think that it is a realistic possibility, but I also don't necessarily think it's going to happen all that. Because, frankly, if it were to happen, then it probably should happen like yesterday.
Exactly.
2 days ago, a day or two after.
Aren't they waiting for him to get
11-game
cut?
suspension got announced. They could. But, I mean, all the teams are waiting for him to get cut. But even if that happens, or if and when that happens, it's like, well, where's he going to go? I tend to think that he could go someplace like New York because he's familiar with the scheme. And we've got now all kinds of places that have Shanahan disciples at their head coach or play caller. So, I mean, we could say Miami, if Tua somehow gets hurt or, he doesn't look very good, which I don't know how you guys feel about Tua, but
I don't like him.
So New York is another possibility where I think Garoppolo might be better than Flacco, but Flacco's been there, so you don't know.
Definitely.
The Cleveland Browns scheme with Stefanski is sort of similar to that Shanahan stuff too, so it certainly could happen. He could go to Seattle, where Drew Lock and Geno Smith is like one of the saddest quarterback competitions I've ever heard of.
Oh my gosh, it
So
really is.
once he gets released, when they got to go down to 53, because he is going to be. I mean, Jed York, the Niners owner, has said like, "Oh, we feel comfortable keeping him all year." Like nobody wants that.
No.
Jimmy doesn't want that. I don't think Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch want that.
And
that's
nobody's
not
making
gonna
a
happen.
No one's offering a big trade, so they're going to have to do that.
That's not happening. Well, everybody's waiting for him to get waived.
By the way, Myles, Dustin's going to be disappointed in you in dismissing Geno Smith. He loves Geno Smith.
I don't remember.
Does he really?
He's still a believer in Geno. He's excited that he's going to get him.
He had moments last year.
Yeah. But let me ask you this.
Geno Smith hasn't started games consistently since I was in college. So
I
what
know.
does that tell you?
He loves
Last
it.
year he did.
He's excited about it. I spoke to him over the weekend. So, but let me get you worked for the Rams. You were a reporter for the Rams for a couple, was it 2 years you did that? I can't remember exactly how long.
5 years.
5 years? My God, my timeline is screwed up.
They grow up so fast.
It's because you still think of me as a kid, Bull.
I know.
Bull, he's paying grown man taxes now.
He is. So,
Yes, I am.
Yes, he
I
is.
live in California, so yes, I do.
Obviously you know Sean McVay, and first of all, tell us about him from your experience. That's one. But also, the Browns kind of went the Rams route here, right? Like, they went all in to win with Stafford. The Browns are kind of doing the same with Watson. So give me your thoughts on those two things.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I really like Sean McVay. I had a really good working relationship with Sean McVay, and he's one of those guys that, I'll say this. The first day he came into the building as officially the head coach, and he does the press conference, and then, of course, being team media, you get a little interview with him. Our reporter was now standing in the I'm going to introduce after. He sees me in the back. He goes, "Hey, my guy, you're doing all those videos online. Hey, you do a good job, man." And I was like, "Whoa, okay." So that set the stage for the rest of our working relationship, which was very good. And that's he seems to be that kind of person. I think he comes off as that kind of person. And in my experience with him, that's exactly the kind of person that he is. So I still have a lot of really good friends that work for the Rams, and I was very, very happy for them that they won the Super Bowl. And I think Sean McVay is a really, really good head coach. So that, I'll always be biased toward him. So that is what it is. But I think the way the Browns have approached it is the way that you should approach things if you're going to be in the National Football League, right? Like, there's no such thing as a 5-year plan anymore, in part because rookie contracts only go 4 years unless you're in the first round, in which case there's that 5th-year option. But even then, sort of how we talk about Tua Tagovailoa all the time, at least on our show, where he's going into his 3rd year, and you have to make a decision on that 5th-year option after that. So this 3rd year is always very critical. So if you're not doing things right within the first 3 years of a head coach program, let's call it, then you're really not going to go anywhere, right? Eventually that guy is going to get fired probably after the 4th year. Yeah. So the way that the Browns have approached it, where they said, look, we know we're not good enough with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. Let's go out and let's get ourselves better, and let's get one of the elite young passers in the game, despite the fact that we know he's going to be suspended, at least we think he's going to be suspended for some period of time. like that's worth it because he can help you win for the next 10 to 15 years. So when you have that quarterback, and especially when you're in the AFC, you need it, right? I mean, you're going to be competing with the Josh Allens of the world, the Mahomes of the world, the Joe Burrows of your division, Lamar Jackson also in the division. You have to have somebody who is at least, a top whatever, let's call it 10 QB in order to really try to get out of that division and ascend past the divisional round of the playoffs. With Baker Mayfield, the Browns probably weren't going to do that. With Deshaun Watson, they have a chance to do it now for years and years and years to come. So I totally understand the approach, and I think it's the right one if you really want to be competitive in today's NFL.
Myles, let's get down to the real conversation. We've been talking about this football stuff. Let's get down to the team. Mike Florio right now is one of the biggest lightning rods in the game. Like, this dude has moved himself up the lightning rod pole, but I sit next to a guy who arguably worked with the biggest lightning rod in Skip.
Two of the biggest.
Stephen A. too.
I'm going to go with Skip. I'm going to go with Skip. If it's a debate on football, debate on football in general, who you taking? Mike Florio or Skip Bayless?
Oh, he has to say Mike.
Well, I'm going to say Mike. Exactly. I was hoping you would say Stephen A. But yeah, I know. But I would take Florio because, I work with him, obviously.
Oh, he's
smart. And he's
he's
smart.
like, come on now. You gonna set me up, brother?
Because I'm smart.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to mess up my bag here. But also, I think,
Smart.
I like the way Florio presents his points, and Florio is a really good writer, and part of that is he used to be a lawyer and he practiced law for years and years, and this is one of the things I make fun of him for on our show, which is when he starts saying, like, when I practice law, and I'll be like, oh my God, you used to be a lawyer? I had no idea. But the way he can go through things and take things point by point, especially, when it comes to a lot of the legalese that we had to talk through on Deshaun Watson, I think he's the best in the game at that. And so I think because of that, that's why I would take Mike Florio, and also because he's my boss.
All right, well, you put your flag down. What do you say, Jay? Where your flag
so
at?
first of all, I love the way he came at that.
Okay.
Number one, he's smart. Now, I work
It's like
with Skip Bayless.
it's like asking somebody who's a better kisser, your wife or your ex-wife.
Yeah, do you want to come
honest.
home? Do you want to sleep on the couch or what?
Right, exactly.
What's the other one? When did you stop beating your wife?
Right.
Yes, it's a loaded
honestly,
question, yeah.
so on this issue, on the Deshaun Watson issue, I know that Bull has issue with Florio. I was putting more stock in Mike than anybody in the business on this issue. However,
come on now.
I definitely have an affinity for both Skip and Stephen A.
Okay.
And I'll say Myles said something that was why I like Skip so much is because it's the point by point stuff, and you see that in his podcast. And I don't know if you watched the one on Charles Barkley yet.
Yeah, I sure have.
But it's fascinating how he goes through point by point and tells his story, makes his case. Skip's very, very good at that. And I know you said Mike was a great writer. Skip was a fantastic writer. Skip got the Grantland Scholarship to Vanderbilt out of high school. It usually goes to, Myles, it's one of the
Acting
most
like I knew what that was. I'm like,
prestigious-
wow.
Well,
I have no idea what that is. I didn't win that.
It's a free scholarship.
Okay.
Oh, okay. That's good.
And Grantland is, I don't know if do you guys remember Bill Simmons' site,
Yes.
Grantland?
Oh,
yeah.
That was named after Grantland.
Oh, I never knew that.
Who was a great writer, and so was his scholarship at Vanderbilt. And it's when you get that, you're in for a lifelong pressure cooker of a career because everybody that gets it is looked at as, okay, so what are you going to do? And of the amazing writers that have gotten that award. And
It's kind of like everybody that's hosted a show at WIBX in Utica, New York, including myself.
Sure, there's a lot of pressure.
It's a litany.
Are you going to go on to do what Bill did?
The Philadelphia Flyers play-by-play man. The Golden State Warriors play-by-play man.
It's a Mount Rushmore.
What's his name? Hacksaw, who works sports talk in San Diego. Can't think of his name.
It's funny that you brought that up because Bowling Green, my alma mater, gives a scholarship to the hockey play-by-play voice.
Okay.
And they've got like 3 or 4 guys in the NHL now.
There you go.
And so it's the same thing. When you get that scholarship, it's
Well,
prestigious.
it's not the same thing as this. Is what you're talking about.
No, but I mean, there's only 30 of those jobs.
That's true.
Myles, so we got to set it up then.
Yeah.
We got it. Is there
Florio,
Skip
Yeah.
Bayless?
I would love that. I would watch that.
I'm not brokering that.
Come on, Myles. You and I, we have connections.
Why
We get
you-
together. Pay-per-view.
Why are you trying to push me off from what I now get the post for Skillless, which is I'm going to do better. No, bring up my bag either.
Hey, secure the bag. Hey, listen.
Yeah,
hey,
get
we'll
what
do
you
that.
got.
Get what you forget all that. You know what I'm saying?
Get what you can. I think they're both really good.
Yeah,
they're good in their own ways.
They are.
But they're both
Yes.
heavyweights in the field. There's no doubt about that.
Nah, bleep them both.
Myles, what do you got the Browns going this year? What's their record?
Oh man, I haven't sat down and done it yet.
All
but
right, perfect.
I
You can
think
do it
they
right now.
Finish around. Yeah, I know. I'll say off the top of my head, I would say probably around like they look like a 7 to 10 win team to me, depending on what happens with Jacoby Brissett. So
7 to
that's
10.
like not really a good answer,
Yeah.
but
Let's
anywhere
go,
from
Myles.
7 and 10 to 10 and 7.
Come on, I want a firm answer. We're not letting you off the hook here. Give us a firm answer.
9 and 8.
There you
Fine,
go.
9 and 8.
That's what we all did.
Myles,
We all did 9 and 8.
that's the safe play. That's
Yeah.
what we all went with 9 and 8.
Yeah.
It is.
That's
Yeah.
where we are.
Yeah, we need
Yeah.
a little better to get in, but
But
go ahead, Mikey.
when you're talking about a team going to have starting quarter 11 games, the fact that they could still win 8 in that range says a lot of the foundation they have and defense that they'll have right now. Because like I think I know people who are still mad at Baker Mayfield for his performance on Christmas when the defense down Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field. So
4
that's all I'm gonna
picks.
say about that.
McNuggets has a question for you, Myles, and then we'll let you go. What is it, Mikey?
All
Hey,
right, what you
Myles,
got?
we know Mike Florio gets roasted for his fantasy teams a lot. Does he actually play fantasy football, or is those jokes just all arbitrary at his expense?
He does, to my knowledge, he does actually play fantasy football, and he has at least been in for a long time. So yes, even though I really don't care about his fantasy team, and I
No one
I
does.
Will, like I don't care about anybody's fantasy. Frankly, barely play it myself. I play it through somebody else. But yeah, that he actually does.
I know to try to put off on an audience your fantasy football team might be one of the most narcissistic
brutal.
things I've
Brutal.
ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I'll be doing that every Friday.
And let me just tell you, people give zeros about that. They just don't.
They care
Because-
about advice on fantasy football.
Yes, they do.
Maybe,
They-
but
yes,
here's why the advice thing is overblown. The advice is for your roster and who you're playing week to week. There's nobody else in that same scenario in the country.
You could, yeah, but people can say, "Would you rather have this receiver or that receiver?" That's advice you can give.
Yeah, it's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine, but
Oh,
I
Jay's
just think in general,
negative Nancy about it.
nothing puts me to sleep more than
Myles,
guys talking
love
about
you,
their
buddy.
fantasy team.
We'll
Myles,
see
Thank you,
thanks.
Myles.
Great job, Myles.
Keep securing that bag.
All right.
And if
Thank you guys. Take
Go
care.
Browns.
not if, but when Bull tears his other Achilles,
It's close. It's sore.
can we get you on retainer?
Don't put that out there.
No, he's too successful now.
Right.
Let me knock on wood for it. I'll
Thank you.
see what I can do.
Yeah, thanks, Myles.
Myles, thanks,
We'll see
brother.
you later.
Miles should send his intern
All right, take care,
if you
guys.
get injured.
Yeah,
now,
right.
in
That's a good
his-
idea.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
He
his
really
stead.
did take good care of me. Like
I believe it.
I was in a calf. So like I tore my Achilles on a Sunday. Went to the hospital that night. And then I went to work that Monday with a
Did
torn
they
Achilles.
reattach it? Or
I had surgery and then that Monday after work, I had surgery on Tuesday, so I
Yeah.
didn't go to work for like a week or the rest of that week.
Right.
And then the next week I was back at work, but I had a cast on.
Sure.
And there's stairs.
How'd
and
you
there's,
do it? Did you say how you did it? How did it happen?
playing basketball?
Oh, playing
Hey
basketball.
man, shout out to that man. Listen,
He's
young,
awesome.
That young brother is cool. I would have told Boo, I ain't doing that. You done lost.
Yeah,
your-
there are certain things that I will do during an internship.
Yeah.
Fluffing a pillow in one of
Hey,
them.
look.
Let me tell you something. I wasn't a jerk about it. Like,
course
No, I
you
know.
would.
You
I was
never
very
asked him.
appreciative of
Yeah.
him helping me.
Sure. You know what though? It speaks
Yes.
to your point. It speaks volumes to why he is where he is. Because we've all.
I would do anything. If he asked me for anything, not that he needs my help in his career,
Right.
but if he did,
Yeah.
not just because he took care of me, beyond that. Like,
good-
I
he's
appreciate
You know
that.
what though? He has
He's a
the
good
DNA
kid.
to be successful in whatever he
Absolutely.
I'm always telling WKYC to load up on some interns. Let's get some people in
Yeah.
here, clean some stuff up. My
did.
desk is a mess.
Well, we
By
used
the
to
way,
have
both-
him, and then COVID hit.
Yeah,
now
right.
we
Well,
can't
they're
have them.
fine.
By the way,
now.
both his parents are doctors, so like he comes from a
Yeah,
good
he
family.
was going to make it
and
no matter what.
He
Workaholics.
he's a great
He's
guy.
a YouTube chat favorite. They were very happy with Myles in that
Myles
interview.
is
So we'll have to get
Even
him
though he
back.
looked like Max Headroom half the time because we ran out of internet again somehow.
No, that was
Sorry,
not us.
shortage in California.
Sorry,
not us.
everybody.
No,
It
in
happens
California,
sometimes. You
there's
never
a
know.
blackout right now on internet.
Those jerks.
So they're running on low speed.
You know what else is a blackout right now?
What's that?
Other teams' offenses went on manual Class A.
Nice.
Oh, look
Nice
at that.
nuggets.
See
You'll
what
be
I
here
did?
all week, won't you?
Thank you. Let's talk about it, though.
Go
He's
ahead.
been unbelievable. The Guardians back in action tonight
Yes.
against the Padres.
Yes.
So the
By
question
the way, does
simply
Jay have
is-
to do a 5-minute apology to Emmanuel Clase for dogging him before the season?
No, I'm actually glad you brought that up. What I said was, he's not this guy I thought he was.
Yeah.
But boy, I quickly, by maybe the end of April, I'm like, okay, he's got movement to his fastball now. What's changed him is his cutter. He's throwing it 99 miles an hour, and it's
Yeah.
unhittable to lefties. They can't touch it.
Well, and here's the thing, too.
But you're right. I was hard on him.
Yeah, well, I was hard on Josh Naylor, and I was wrong about Josh Naylor.
but I
He's
was
coming
wrong.
around.
I was absolutely wrong on
It's good to
Clase.
be wrong about that.
He is
Yeah.
the best closer in the game.
There's no, you know what really is outstanding about him? You're right, the cutter made the difference, and is a big part of this. His command.
He's throwing
He
strikes.
don't walk anybody.
No, his strikes to Ks to walk ratio.
The best.
The best in baseball,
And
not
because-
just amongst closers.
He's not, like, in terms of the best closers in baseball, he's not near the top in terms of strikeouts per 9. Like, there's other guys.
No, but he's averaging more than 1 per 9.
Right, which is good.
Yeah,
But there's,
the Mets is like, I think the Mets
Edwin
closers-
Diaz is
Edwin
almost-
Diaz
Diaz
is
is four-
over 2.
Right.
Oh, he's over 2 per. No, I thought he was at like 14 Ks per 9.
Yeah, there's a number of, like, Liam Hendricks
was.
is high, Kenley Jansen's really
Yeah.
high on that. But those guys all walk guys.
Yeah.
You know, he don't walk. I think
And
the
you know what?
strikeout to walk ratio is like 9-1.
It is. It's 9.
ridiculous.
And the worst thing a closer can do is come in and not throw strikes.
Yeah, you give him a hit, what are you going to do? It's going
and guys will
make
get
him earn
hits.
it on.
But when you look at his batting average against, I think it's like 189, something
His
like that.
whip is like 060 something.
His whip is 65.
Oh, his whip. You
Yeah.
can't.
His
His
whip
whip's
is
amazing.
0.65.
For those who don't know, some fans don't know. Whip
Thank
is
you.
walks and hits
per 9.
divided by innings pitched.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's anything under 1 is fantastic.
Yeah. Well, even 1 is really good.
1 is fantastic, but if you're below 1, it's ridiculous. He's at 0.65.
Yeah, it's absurd.
His ERA is 1.25 or somewhere in there.
Right.
His numbers, it's not an argument right now. It's not.
The only guy close, I think, is Edwin Diaz of the Mets.
He is the best in
He's
the National
close.
League, but I would still
Yeah.
take Clase.
And just to add in real quick, check out these numbers. Diaz is at 17.7 strikeouts per 9, by the way, so literally almost 2 per inning.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, but it's not over 2. That over 2 is minor
It's
league
right
stuff.
at 2. Yeah,
Yeah.
right at 2. But when you look at these numbers, they got him for Corey Kluber.
Who made
Right.
1 start for the Rangers.
He pitched
And
1
got
inning.
hurt in that start.
Yep.
It might be the biggest fleecing of all time if Clase keeps this
Well,
up.
you know what? The Indians made a trade with the Expos where they got Bartolo Colon and Grady Sizemore
And somebody else didn't
and
they get-
somody else.
got a third player in that deal. who
That
had
was a
nothing.
good fleecing. That
Yeah,
was,
I-
remember
I
that
now I got to
fleecing.
look it up because I think they got
it
a
was
third player.
Grady, Bartolo. You're right. There was another piece to that trade.
Maybe the guy wasn't good and we're wrong, but I thought they got 3 good
So the
players. in that
Clase
deal.
trade, I mean,
Yeah, it's great.
They weren't going to keep Kluber. They had to dump him. The fact that they were able to get a guy who's been now 3 years, a frontline starter, an all-star starter this year, and the best closer, or not starter, closer, best closer in the game right now.
Why'd they let him go in that trade?
Kluber?
No, Clase.
I think there were arm issues, and by the way, he did get hurt, so he has had an injury
Yeah.
with the Guardians. I think didn't he have Tommy John after his first year, Bull?
Did he have Tommy John Clase?
Didn't
Yes.
Clase? Yeah.
Okay.
So
By the way, it was
and I think-
A rite of passage.
yeah.
Wait,
So they were.
You'll
I
find it.
think probably
So-
the Rangers were aware that there were arm issues.
Bull,
but
Bull has a stat.
no.
Go ahead.
The Indians actually traded Bartolo Colon.
Yes.
And in that
Oh, okay.
trade,
Yeah, you're right.
they
Brandon
got Grady Sizemore, Cliff Lee, and Brandon
Yeah.
Phillips.
Dang, okay.
Oh my God.
Dang, that's crazy.
They ended up trading Brandon Phillips.
all
Yeah.
all-stars.
Right.
But
Yeah,
Brandon
They were all
Phillips-
great players.
Yeah. Now the funny thing is, Bartolo probably played when all 3 of those were out of the game. Bartolo was
Yeah,
still
he's still
playing.
he's still pitching for the
that's
Padres.
true.
He's still
He's
pitching
now
now.
55. He just hit a home run.
He's still playing in the Mexican League or
He is.
something.
Well, let me ask you guys this.
Yeah.
You know, how important in terms of what the closer is to actually winning games? Is the closer like the new version of the running back, right? Before closers, you thought you had to have a lights-out closer.
Yeah.
Now, not so much. You can get
Well,
a guy to close. How important is it to win?
I think it's very important, especially in the playoffs, right? As we saw with the Indians when they went to the World Series against the Cubs. You know, Andrew Miller, who wasn't their closer that year, but he was
really,
their best
yeah.
reliever, he ran out of gas in Game 7, right? Like, Kluber got overused. and Miller got overused, and they were out of gas by Game 7, and that's ultimately why the Indians lost that Game 7, because those two guys had been so dominant for the rest of the playoffs. But I think a closer in the playoffs, especially a guy like Clase, who I think in the playoffs you could use for more than one inning. Like, you're not going to do that in the regular season regularly, but I think in the playoffs you could use him. Like, you could have Karinchak right now is back to where we saw him when
He's
he was
old
pitching great,
Karinchak.
right?
Yeah.
Like, he's averaging almost 2 strikeouts per inning right now.
Yeah.
So
I feel
think,
comfortable with anybody in that bullpen except for Morgan right now.
Well, I don't trust him at all.
Even Shaw. I mean, he comes in and
Yeah, but here's the thing. I think if they make the playoffs, I only need my starter to go 6 innings. I can have Karinchak and Clase pitch the final 3. They can get 9 outs between
the only
them.
difficult thing about that is you're asking them to do it if they do that, and then you're playing back-to-back days.
Well, I don't want to.
If either of them goes more than one, they're not pitching the next day.
Well, in the playoffs they are.
Yeah, I don't know. That's why we got into trouble in 16 because Miller was out of gas.
Well,
Miller
was going multiple innings like all the time. I can't. Yes, you got it.
He was doing it.
You also have to hope we don't play Toronto, so that Karinchak can actually pitch, because he's not vaccinated.
Yeah,
just so you know, he's not vaccinated. Can't play.
Oh,
good point.
That still happens.
That would be a.
Karinchak did not pitch. When
Only
they went
in
to
Toronto, you
last
can't
week,
play in Toronto.
Yeah, when they went to Toronto last week, he couldn't
I
go.
think he's the only unvaccinated player on the team, I believe.
I don't know that for sure because they've had so many guys come up from the minor leagues. I don't know, but
But
he's
he must
the notable
be,
guy
because he was the only one that was placed on the restricted list.
Yeah.
Unless
Now Nolan Jones is down in Columbus and he's been replaced. But I don't know the guy that replaced him if he's vaccinated.
Right. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, sure.
I would hope that one of two things would happen before October. Either Canada would look at that the way the U.S. does now on vaccinations. There's no guarantee that they're going to.
Right.
Because, it was slow to change here. You would think that at some point it's going to catch up in Canada. Whether or not it will by October, I don't know. Or he'd take the damn shot.
Why would that? Why would
shot.
Canada do that when it would be a strategic advantage for them to keep
Well,
it at least for the playoffs? At
Yeah.
least for the playoffs, it helps Canada.
I don't know that the policy that's being set for disease control has anything to do with it.
Right, but if they were thinking about changing in September or October, you might
wait
as
until
well wait.
Christmas.
By the way,
Wait till
speaking
Christmas.
of, this is totally a tangent, but
Yeah.
I saw this and we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
I automatically think of the Nets when we talk about this stuff.
Sure,
and
right.
Kyrie.
Yep.
Durant and the Nets have agreed that they're going to move forward together.
Really?
Yeah.
When did that
Durant or
happen?
Kyrie?
It
'Cause I saw
happened right before
Kyrie.
the show started.
Durant. Yeah, I saw it this morning and I
well,
meant
that's
to bring
because
it up.
there was reports that Kyrie had kind of.
Yeah, but there was also reports that the
He wasn't
divorce between Durant and the Nets was imminent. Like
yeah.
everybody around
But
Durant
I
said he was
wonder
playing his
if
last
it's
game
because
for the
yesterday
Nets.
there was a report that Kyrie and the Nets had kind of
Well,
settled. That
yeah.
maybe that's why Durant came around as well.
Well, for sure Durant has. I
now
don't
the
know
Nets
about
are back
Kyrie.
in the mix on the
but
East.
they're back.
Unless Kyrie decides this is like the year he refuses to wear shoes or
Right,
something like that. I could totally see that.
Well,
where it's
Kyrie-
just like,
Kyrie already-
they're cages for your feet. I'm not being imprisoned by shoes anymore.
But getting
that's what we
back
got to
to
hope for. Him being crazy.
We went away from the topic. Getting back to your question,
Go ahead.
I think having a great closer in a day and age where there's not that many great closers is a huge advantage for the Guardians.
Yeah, and because their starting pitching is coming around.
Yes.
McKenzie now is a front of the rotation ace kind of guy.
And think about some of the other teams that have that are playoff. The Yankees.
the Astros scare me more than anyone.
Well, no, but closer situation.
Oh, yeah, I'm
right?
just talking about
Like
pitching.
the Astros don't have a great closer. The Yankees are a mess right now.
Yeah.
Their closer was Aroldis Chapman. He got hurt. He wasn't pitching well. Then they went to Clay Holmes.
They're leaking
He got
oil.
killed. Now he's hurt. They traded for this kid from the Cubs. He was closing for them for a minute. Now he's hurt. So they're a mess in their pen.
But that
Good.
goes. This hits me now.
Yeah.
You got a good closer.
Yeah.
You just mentioned McKenzie's playing well. He's pitching
He's
well.
been fantastic.
You look at Bieber's pitching well.
Yeah.
Now you look like your pitching staff is rounding into shape. But now
I
I'm
still
like,
have questions about the rest of the
but
rotation.
if I see that
playoffs,
pitching
you
staff,
need three.
if
Yeah.
I see that staff, man, I would have loved to do something at the break. Because if you got them just a couple,
I agree,
you see
but
what I'm
they
saying?
didn't do it.
Yep.
I agree.
Because it's looking like they're rounding into shape. All you need is one more. All you need is a solid stick somewhere, and you might have a shot in a series.
And by the way, I'm going to stun you all. As I think about it now, on this date, I actually wish they would have gotten either an outfielder or another starting pitcher, even more than the catcher. As much as I've bagged on Hedges,
Yeah.
I do think, I will give him this, I think he's important for the pitching staff.
They love him.
They do love him.
He's a great
I
clubhouse
think,
guy,
and he's
too.
a leader. And listen,
You know,
we
I
know,
never heard
we
that
know
he
his
got
limitations offensively, but no, I don't think he did.
You know what?
Stunningly.
That's stunning to me.
Maybe he did. We don't know about it, but
Well,
I think we would have
heard it.
Probably, yeah.
But he
Yeah, I
went,
don't remember that.
He went off as hard on the umpires as I've heard in a couple years.
Oh, yeah.
He went absolutely in on that play at home plate.
Yeah.
And I thought for sure he was going to pay a 5-digit fine.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard about it yet.
Let me ask you guys this question. Tonight was supposed to be Clevenger against Plesac. We know their
Yes.
relationship, right?
Yeah.
Plesac or Savali was supposed to pitch Sunday. The game got
It's Savali
rained out.
against-
And now Savali's pitching tonight. They moved Plesac back like
Yes,
5
they
days.
did.
You think they were like purposely not wanting them to pitch against Clevenger?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if that weighed into Tito's thinking.
Because Plesac's been a lot better than Savali, and you need to win. You want to win that game.
Maybe he thought he'd be in his head. Is that why you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm just I don't.
Might be.
I'm not saying it's necessarily the case. I just wonder if that factored in.
Well,
'Cause now he's pitching against the.
I'll get
the
behind
Mariners
that conspiracy. I'll get behind that
I
conspiracy.
mean,
tell you
it's interesting.
something.
I hadn't thought about that, but
Yeah.
they're always going to be
Right.
connected.
Yeah.
And
Facts.
I would rather it be Savali, to be honest with you.
Here's the interesting thing. These next 6 games, you are facing some good pitchers. First of all, Clevenger might be the second worst pitcher you're facing on this road trip because he hasn't pitched great, but we know he's talented.
We know
right?
he can
Tomorrow,
Motivated.
tomorrow they face you, Darvish. We know how good he is.
That's tough.
All right. Then in the Mariners, you're facing Luis Castillo, who's had a really good year.
Yeah.
And he's coming off a bad start.
Will they
but
for sure see Castillo? Have you looked ahead?
Yeah, unless they change the rotation. But
Okay.
as of now, you're facing Robbie Ray, who was great last year and has been great for Seattle. And then what's the kid? Logan Gilbert, their second-year pitcher.
having a good year.
So the only bad pitcher you're facing is Marco Gonzalez. That's tough. And then you come home and you play, I think, the Orioles and the Mariners.
But
the Orioles have played pretty
You know
well.
what, though? That's a good setup for September, late September and October.
This is a good
baseball
challenge.
because the Guardians are going to throw Bieber. They're
Yep.
going to throw McKenzie.
Yep.
And let's see what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
And then right now, like you said, they need 3 pitchers. You can get by with 3.
Yeah.
They didn't in 2016. You'd rather them have 4 starters you can trust. We're going to find out if they make the playoffs, which I believe they will. We're going to find out in this next 6 weeks, can we trust Savali? Can we trust Plesac? Can we trust Quantrill?
Yeah.
The first Quantrill and Plesac have been up and down. Savali's been pretty much bad.
Yeah.
Can those guys get more consistent heading into the postseason?
What scares me about that is you're playing winning teams when you're in the playoffs.
Right.
And your record goes down when
Yeah.
you're playing better teams. I'd feel comfortable if they're pitching against Detroit or Kansas City.
Yeah, of course,
But
right.
I'm not feeling comfortable with all 3 of the names that you mentioned based on what we've seen from them this year.
It's
Now,
just not good that I
McKenzie-
recognize those names. That's not good.
No,
As a casual
it
baseball
isn't.
fan.
Yeah.
Do they have a better chance in the series beating the Astros or the Yankees?
Yankees right now.
I mean, Yankees.
but
the Astros are
tradition-
playing much better
Astros
baseball.
are they're legit.
I think the Yankees, the Astros don't have the lights-out closer the Guardians have, but they got a good, solid pen. They don't have big names, but they're good, solid.
Yeah.
The Yankees' pen is a mess,
Yeah, it is.
and
most of the games that the Guardians play are decided by the
late.
bullpen.
And the Guardians have a big advantage over the Yankees in the bullpen right now. Now, by the time we get to the playoffs, maybe the Yankees have.
Are you worried
Got
about
help.
Clase having so often when a closer has
Yeah.
a great 4 months of the season? I always hold my breath because I'm waiting for the gasket to blow.
Right, 'cause there's always a
he's
stretch
been
where you
nearly
should pitch
perfect.
well. Yeah.
I think he's got 2 blown saves, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
1 or 2. He's been almost
2.
perfect.
He has 2.
But I always think back to
Yeah,
Jose Mesa.
even Mariano Rivera would have 1 week a year where he didn't pitch
bad
well.
one. And you
One
just
bad
didn't
week.
want it to be in October.
Yeah, right,
But
which it never
remember,
was.
in
Well,
95,
pretty much never was.
or yet 97 with Jose
Yeah,
Mesa,
right.
he was as close to perfect as a closer can ever be.
Yep.
Until the extra
Until it
innings
mattered
of
the
Game
most.
7.
Yeah.
Until it
Yeah.
mattered the
Yeah.
most. Joe Table.
Yeah.
All right. Have we exhausted the Guardians talk?
We have. We got a little good bet, bad bet, so we'll look
Okay.
forward to
How did
tonight's
we do
game.
yesterday?
Let's get these
Bull, I'm
standings up
coming.
here, Anthony.
Didn't I
Is
have
that
the
through tag
Jets?
board? What'd you say?
I thought I had picked the Jets yesterday, didn't I?
No.
No, you did not pick the Jets.
You did not.
Bad job.
I'm so
out of me.
sorry, Bull.
I was 3-0 again.
Or
Or no, I was 2-1.
You were 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah. You went 2-1 yesterday.
We are now tied
G.
in the
Bush
loss
went
column.
0-3.
I'm
Bull
looking
went-
for any win I
0-3?
can get.
You went 0-3, G. Bush.
Gee, you're only a game over 500.
Oh, gee.
I watched part of that Jets preseason
I mean,
game alone in a waking lizard.
I was winning for so long. I ran out of gas down the
Mike
back
is
stretch.
30 games over
And you know what?
500.
I want to dive into that before
Yeah.
we talk about the bets, because I know you keep dismissing this,
Hmm.
but when you were 20-10, we were looking at it going,
Yeah.
hey, wow, could be beginner's luck, and then you were 40-20.
Yeah.
Now you're 60-30.
He's picked almost 100 games at
If
this point.
you had played a moderate amount of cash
Right.
on those games,
Yeah.
you would probably be able to take
I'd have a much
year
worse
off
record
of work.
somehow if I put money on that, probably. That's the thing.
What are you doing? Like, what's your method? Are you
First of
doing
all-
any research at all?
First of all, I do have a new picture for when we do that because I got an old-timey picture taken
Listen,
solo
I gave
at
up.
Cedar,
I've asked
at Cedar
50
Point.
times for it to be
No, I'll
changed
tell
to
you.
the cat picture.
I'm gonna have an
We
old-timey
can't do that.
photo.
It's impossible.
Oh, I got it. But anyways, I'll crop it for you guys and everything. But it's an old-timey
It's not gonna
photo
get done.
I took at Cedar Point.
It will be the cat picture tomorrow.
I'm like a gambler.
That's a
it's-
guarantee.
It's sepia. So
Sapia, huh?
the secret is, I'm a paper dragon. Or is it paper tiger? Paper
Paper
champion?
tiger. I'm a paper tiger. I'm a house of cards. I'm a total fraud. I have no idea how it's happening. I really don't. I'm kind of going by vibe. And
Are you going good, bad, bad, bad?
I mean, I look
good,
at who's
bad, good?
pitching and stuff like that, and I just say, you know what I think part of it is I think like what would happen here based on a narrative as a Cleveland sports fan.
Gotcha.
Oh,
That's really part of it.
That's a good theory.
You know, and that's kind of what. And I'm not saying it'll last, as I said. I'm just totally pulling it out of my A. But
You're
that's
doing
what
it
I'm
2
doing.
out
I'm
of
just kind of
3,
like that's
which
why
is astounding.
like that's why I picked Padres to win today, because I just feel like that Clevenger thing matters. The mentality, no matter what they put in the numbers, no matter what the line is or anything like that.
So you're going, what's the most Cleveland thing?
Yeah.
What would be the most
possible
Cleveland
in this
thing to
scenario?
happen?
That's
All right.
funny.
And so that's kind
you
of
have a good
how
feel
I'm
for it.
betting.
You are the man of Cleveland.
Yeah, it'll eventually.
Polk
bottom
literally
out.
goes 2-1 every time.
Every
he
day.
hasn't gone 3-0 yet. I don't
Yeah.
think he's gone 0-3 yet.
I'm
I
just
think he
consistent.
goes 2 for
Well,
1 every
yeah.
single
That's
time.
what his overall is. He gets 2 out of
2
3.
for 1, exactly. All right,
Hey,
let's
Mike,
get to
are
the
we
bets today.
officially starting over on September 8th when the NFL season starts?
We are going to start over on September.
so
So
I
this
gotta-
contest will end on September 7th.
So I've got to have a couple of 3-0 days, but I've been. I
You've
think
been
I'm
good.
like 12 of my last
Jay's been
15.
hot lately. All right,
I've
let's
been
get to
red hot.
today's bets. The first one is Mike just mentioned the Guardians underdogs by 1.5 at the Padres.
You got to go against me every
I know. I
time.
want you to be. I want you to be against me.
All right.
Okay, that's a good. I think that's
2-2
a good-
split, but Mike Polk is still the percentage leader, so
Weird
maybe
feel.
him and G. Bush
Weird
can
feel
pick
for
the
that
game
one.
there.
Hope I'm wrong. Totally hope I'm wrong.
Can I change to Mike's pick?
Look,
All right, let's
No.
get to the next one here. Over 8.5 runs. I know Clevenger with a little bad blood here.
Oh, same
And
picks
once
for
again-
everybody.
Bull.
Pulling Jay on the same page, going against G. Bush and Mike Polk.
I feel like it's a slugfest tonight.
Clevenger's gonna
Yeah.
pitch.
And
I
last,
think. I think there's going to be a lot of runs tonight too.
but not least, we have to go outside of the Guardians game here. And let's see, we do have a little differentiation between Jay and Bull.
Okay.
White Sox getting a 1.5 tonight at Baltimore.
okay.
Everyone's on the same side.
Who's pitching?
except
Is it Cease? Who's
Bull.
pitching for the White Sox?
Cease.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
You still feel good about that? I'm surprised. That you're different
I
on
don't
that
even
one.
remember making that White Sox ball.
I'm surprised at that pick. I'm glad that we were
What is
opposite
it
on
against
that one.
Cease against who?
Volk, who's 4-1 with a 3.3 ERA. So,
Yeah, I didn't know enough
but
about
Cease
him.
has been unbelievable the
Yeah,
last
he
2
has.
months.
Wait, who
He
was
has.
pitching for the Orioles? I couldn't hear you the first time.
Anthony Volk, he's 4-1 with a 3.3
You're saying his name wrong.
ERA.
There's no Anthony Volk.
The big Vogue.
VOCH. Vok.
Vok.
I didn't know him.
The Vok daddy.
When I looked
I don't
at
think
it, I
it's
didn't
Anthony.
know. Fuck,
Well, whatever it is.
Okay.
Yeah. Whatever.
What's
it
the
is.
origin?
He's
What
a
is the
loser
historic
tonight.
origin of
Cease
that
has
name?
been really good.
Cease has been
Really
excellent.
good.
All right, so we figured it out.
Okay,
There it
there
is.
we go.
There it is. Congrats.
It's Austin Volk. Apologies, Austin Volk.
Austin Vogue. That's
Austin,
what was
no,
screwing
it's
us
Austin
all
Voth.
up.
That's what it is. It's V-O-T-H.
We apologize to the whole Voth family.
By the way, it's Austin Voth, Mikey, and his stats are misleading because he's been pitching really well lately. That's why I took the Orioles. I couldn't think of who the pitcher was.
Okay, so now
Go
we're transitioning automatically to final takes, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Bull, you're on the.
All right, guys. So everybody knows how I've been into the Guardians this season when others have ignored this team. And I'm very excited about the way they've played overall, but there's something about the Guardians that has frustrated me. And it's the fans that overreact to this. Every time a Guardians player is not picked as the player of the month or an all-star, it's always like, oh my God, they hate Cleveland. And okay, there's a little bit of truth to that from some people. But overall, it's not. Most people that pick these awards and stuff, they want to get it right. They don't want to. I always feel there's a New York bias. There's only 2 reporters from each city voting. Now, maybe the New York teams are on TV more, but like the guys who are voting on these, for the most part, some of them are clowns, but for the most part, they take their job seriously and they want to vote for the best guy. And that's when it comes to Stephen Kwan. I'm a big Stephen Kwan guy. I love Stephen Kwan. I love everything he's done. I love that he started great in April. I love that when he struggled in May, he adjusted, which a lot of young players can't do, and he's been excellent since then. He gets on base. He doesn't strike out much, which is rare in this day and age. He has great speed. He's played well in the field. He brings a lot of energy. Love everything about him. But I'm sorry, he's not the Rookie of the Year. He's just not. Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners is phenomenal. Yes, he strikes out more than Stephen Kwan does. But the guy's going to go 20-20 as a rookie. He plays superior defense. The guy's got, and that's just it. Like, you look at his OPS and some of these other stats, they're just better. Kwan's excellent, but he's not being dissed by not winning the Rookie of the Year. It's just that Julio Rodriguez is a little more of a well-rounded player. Stephen Kwan doesn't have any power. That's the flaw in his game. And it's fine. Not everybody needs to have power. I love his game and I love him. But just because he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, which it's not over yet, there's still 6 weeks to go. Maybe Rodriguez goes like 7 for his next 100 and falls off a cliff. And maybe Kwan hits, who knows. But as of now, Rodriguez is going to win the Rookie of the Year. And Stephen Kwan might not even finish second. This Adley Rutschman, who's come up late, has been phenomenal for the Orioles. He's been one of the hottest players in baseball for the last 2 months. We don't have to get angry about it. Appreciate that Stephen Kwan's a really good player, even when he doesn't win Rookie of the Year.
It's good. Excellent. Mine involves some AV. It's a video. And I know we're not supposed to involve each other that much, but I'm going to need you guys to comment on this.
We're early
This is just a video I saw on Twitter. It caught my eye. Sent it to Mikey. This is a guy.
Geez, I saw this.
Have you seen this?
Yeah,
I
This
almost
is the guy.
vomited when I saw it.
This
I
is
didn't
a
want to
guy
look at it again.
drinking a beer with a hot dog, like through a hot dog.
He's getting like the hot dog juice.
Yes.
That's
Now,
so gross.
I got a lot of questions about this, obviously.
God, I can't believe that.
Yeah. Number one, like I don't totally hate the concept. I boil my hot dogs in beer, and it's really good.
Really?
Yeah, it's good. It tastes good. So I don't know if that's an actual sensation. Is he an exhibitionist? Is this like a weird thing he's trying to do just to do something like this? Is he alone? He appears to be alone. Maybe it didn't start that way, but I'll bet as soon as he started going after that hot dog and beer like that, oh, gee, I'm so sorry to do this to you. What motivates somebody? Is he from, here, real question, not trying to be culturally insensitive, maybe this is something from a different culture. Is this a foreign gentleman and I just can't make that out? That seems like something they do in Finland or something like that we're just not aware of.
Yeah. Notice he's by himself.
Yes. Well,
I think he's turned to the side like he wants somebody to videotape.
I feel like maybe he came with a date and then obviously then he's like, do you want a beer?
His
hot dog?
His mouth smell like gerbil vomit.
So, anyways, I wanted to experiment with this. So I'm going to give it a shot.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am. We're going to do this. I'm going to use this Red Lobster glass.
It looks like it's chilled.
I'm going to, it's been in this cooler bag.
You got ice in there?
I'm going to use this.
Oh,
okay.
No.
Now we're gonna...
I don't know if I can witness this in person.
Oh, no. Please.
First of all, I want to put up what your last tag bar, what your last Chiron bar. Okay, it says send this man directly to jail. G. Bush, I want you to look at this. This is my producer at 5 o'clock, Mo. She sent this to me this morning. Look what I said at the bottom.
Okay. Now this might be
Jail
tricky.
his ass.
I don't know what
That's
I'm
exactly
doing.
what I said. And I didn't see any.
Wait, are those cooked?
No. I don't know what I'm doing here.
You're
Just
never
a
going to be able
reminder.
to with that one. It's
Wasn't his hot dog cooked probably, the guy?
It probably was.
I can't watch
I didn't
this.
say this is going to go well, you guys. Just a reminder, I've never done this before,
can't
so it
watch
could go
this.
south.
You didn't try this at home?
No, that would be crazy.
God.
Okay, so I'm using a screwdriver.
It's a real hot dog,
that I have
folks.
not cleaned.
I'm concerned about the cleanliness of this project.
Well, I mean,
God.
COVID's over, right?
First of all, just that image alone right
It's
there.
not
Yeah,
great.
that's just.
I don't need to see this.
No.
If your girlfriend is watching right now, what is she thinking?
Probably, she's probably on Tinder, I'd imagine by now.
She's used to this.
All right, here we go.
Oh, my God.
That is
I don't know if that's a
awful.
big enough hole, but here we go. This could be kind of
Get a
phallic.
close-up
You
here.
know that things live forever on the internet, right, Mike?
Oh.
I can't get a good one.
There's
I can't
no
get a
way
good
you're
one.
getting any beer out of that.
No, you're right. I should have cooked it, and I should have made the hole bigger.
This is so pause-worthy.
Wait, we need
this
a-
is pause.
Don't you do you need a straw to put it in there?
I don't know how that guy did it. If that guy's watching,
This,
You know what he probably did? He probably just jammed
drop
a
into my
straw
DM.
through the hot
this
dog.
man,
And let me know how you make the hot dogs.
Did you get any
Just,
beer
you know
at
what?
all?
I did. I got just
Try
enough
to
Busch
burrow
Light.
the hole one more time.
I got just enough Busch Light to taste it all day.
this man is literally sucking the sausage.
there you
not
go.
great.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Take
it's not-
another camera shot.
From a dirty screwdriver.
Okay, so now I got an open fold here.
It's like, it's a cracked straw.
It won't do it. It won't do it. I also think I went with the wrong kind of hot dog.
You can't
needed,
circumcise
like,
your hot
something-
dog.
Well, whatever. That's my. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but that's my final take.
He pulled back the
It
skin.
worked out.
He pulled back the skin.
It
of
worked
a
out.
hot
It made me
dog.
laugh.
I wanted to watch it. I wanted to watch the beer go down like a cartoon, though. You know, and it just didn't. I just dampened my hot dog for no reason.
It's a cold.
That's
Jay,
my lunch.
in all your years of TV, is that the most awkward segment you've ever been a part of?
Not
wasn't
awkward.
awkward.
It's
It was
just
just
the
gross.
most unbelievable thing I've ever seen on a
don't
live
think it was
television
awkward at all.
set.
It was
35,
funny.
35 years, that is the #1 most incredible thing I've ever seen.
Well,
on
was so
television.
It's a hot dog.
Yep, it's all
It's
about
a
bringing
wet-
out
Love
props.
it.
It's a
love
wet lip hot dog
Oh my
just on the
God.
table,
How did the
bro.
hot dog taste? Gross.
No, I can tell that will be a good hot dog when I cook it. I can. That's like an all
you
beef.
gonna cook that
Oh,
hot
you're
dog?
not discarding that.
That's
He
not-
bought it.
That's fine.
Mike, you have to understand something.
Perfectly.
If Mike
what
buys
do you
it, he's
think
using
is
it.
in a hot dog that could be worse that's on that than is
Fair.
on that table?
That's a fair point.
Grease.
Right? So once you boil it, everything's safe.
That's a good point.
So I'm gonna put that hot dog. That's the Youngstown in me. I'm not wasting that hot dog. I'm putting that hot dog back in the bag, and I'm gonna eat that for lunch. I'm gonna cook that in the
gotta move that
WKYC.
Yeah, move the hat.
Is that on the table?
WKYC.
No
Yeah.
napkins?
None.
You know who has to clean that, right? That's us.
No, that's Anthony. That's fine. It ain't your birthday anymore, Anthony.
Anthony Hedges is going to clean that.
G. Bush, I don't know how you try to follow that, but you technically are
G,
up.
you're up,
Do
buddy.
you want to pass?
Good luck.
I'll give you a pass today.
Be quick. I got to urinate.
Were you gonna do the same thing?
Bro,
G.
listen.
Bush, I got you. Jay, you're up. I got you,
bro,
G. Bush.
Go ahead.
He's still sick.
Listen, what about this makes you assume I don't need a standing 8 count?
Because you sent me a tag board to take for your final take.
You're right, I did.
G-Bush, did I
So-
just ruin our
I've
relationship?
decided.
No, we good. I'm a little.
I understand.
He's a little nauseous
My
right
man, stomach did lukewarm
I know,
hot
I got a
dogs.
weak stomach too, and just the whole. First of all, I don't eat snouts and hooves. Never
Yeah.
have.
You don't know what you're missing. Snouts and hooves are great.
Yeah.
They are.
Not really big
You
on
pack
pig
them together,
eyeball.
put some salt on them.
Once I heard that they waste no part of the pig, and I said, "What do you do with it?"
It's very
He said,
Native
"Put the
American
eyeball."
of them.
And I said, like, the feet, the eyeballs, the
The anus.
The
the
meat.
snout,
Meat.
hot dog.
Yeah.
The anus, hot dog.
Sure.
You just tried to drink a beer through a pig nose.
In fairness, I will eat those hot dogs. I'm not above it, but this is an all beef one.
It is?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that makes it all-
But that's just what happened to be in my refrigerator. I'm not above a snout
Right.
hot dog. I like a
I
good
get
snout
it.
hot dog. The Dollar
Right.
Dog Night hot dog.
So it hit me when we were doing the show.
It is a
how,
Busch Light.
how can I get the upper hand on Bull in an argument? Because I can't. I realize he's just going to shout me down no matter what. And I learned a long time ago from working with a couple of guys that just because you yell the loudest doesn't mean you're right.
Uh-oh.
But I am.
But he's right. He's right on this one. But so I figured, well, you know what? In final
Yeah.
take, I get the floor. Nobody's allowed to talk. So Bull's question. First of all, I'm not sure I'm going to trade Kareem Hunt either. I'm not. I'm absolutely doing my due diligence because, yes, we're going to need to run the football this year. As long as I have Nick Chubb and the other two, Ford and Johnson, I'm okay. If I can move from Hunt and strengthen my wide receiver room, I'm going to do it. I don't know who that player is, Bull. I'm not the GM of 31 other teams. I can't tell you who that player is. I can only tell you that trades, oftentimes when they happen, aren't the ones that have been bandied about by us because we think we know all the moving parts, and we don't. There are a lot of moving parts that we're not privy to. So I did find two things. Can we use those McNuggets or not? Can we call those up?
So the trade is a link, so we can't call it like.
So we
a
can't
link.
use those.
No.
Hell, that kind of kills my case. I was just going to show. So like, who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? I don't know who it's going to be. I am hearing that there are two teams that are extremely interested, and those teams. I had a picture of Kareem Hunt talking to. You can use that one. Okay, this was from their joint practices, and I loved our GM is good with contracts. You know, I thought that made me laugh. There's been a lot of smoke around the Eagles, a lot of smoke.
There's no wide receiver for them to trade for.
I don't know who that guy is. Like somebody asked me yesterday, would you do Devin Allen? I'm like, nah, I don't think so.
What?
I got to see way more
No
than
chance.
one play in a preseason game, although I know what his top end is. I know he's a great speed guy. But the other team, and we can't use this, right? We cannot use this?
No, it's a link, so it doesn't pop
work
up
on.
right in
Okay,
category.
that's fine. I read a piece, I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before. It might have been the day before, about the 3 most likely suitors for Kareem Hunt. And one was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And as you talk about a team that it's got to be a contender, I think we all agree on that. Buccaneers clearly a contender. It's got to be a team that would be looking to upgrade at running back. And I think there's no question that would be, if the Buccaneers could get Kareem Hunt, you would think that inside that front office, they're thinking, we really love our chances. We're in the NFC, which is the inferior division. And now we've got, along with the greatest quarterback in the game, we've got a top, as you say, 5 receiver or running back, and their receivers are good. Now, they would have to part with a good player. We're not going to give Kareem Hunt to the Bucs. It's not going to happen. And I would be as disappointed as you if they trade him and it's not equal compensation in return. But I would say, to your question, who's going to do it? I would think that the Bucs are the team.
Who?
Makes no sense.
Tell me who they trade, though.
It makes perfect sense.
They have 2 good receivers. They're not going to trade either of those guys.
We don't know. We don't know.
There's no way.
We just don't know. And here's why I say that.
What's even
And
a
Leonard
hypothetical
Fournette's a
trade?
decent back. He's not as good as Kareem
What's
Hunt.
a
but he's good back.
Have you seen Leonard Fournette recently?
I have.
Yeah, what do you think of him?
I think
Was the
I don't
first thing
care
that-
if he's heavy.
You don't.
He's
I
a
do.
good back, and
He's
he was
a running
good for them
back.
last year.
35 extra pounds for
why
running
would
back
they
is a good
trade
Is
thing.
Leonard Eight-net now?
Why would they trade Mike Evans or Chris Godwin? They're not going to trade. They're not
twice
taking
his
away
size.
Brady. They're not trading those guys.
You're
No
asking
chance.
me why, and I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
Throughout his career, Tom Brady has done what with mediocre receivers? What has he done? He's made them great.
He's done the same thing with running backs. He's not had great running backs.
No, he hasn't made mediocre running backs great. If he has, they've been better than they otherwise would have been because they got to stop the pass when you play Tom Brady. Tom Brady has done more with mediocre wide receivers than anybody that's ever played the game of football.
All right.
So
Hey.
if I'm the Bucs, I'm saying this. I'm saying let's take our chances that we got a Wes Welker somewhere down here. That and
Yeah.
Tom when he decides who he's going to throw the ball to,
Yeah.
it's typically a completion. The guy
Right.
is
Oh, yeah.
I think it's irrelevant. So
Yeah.
to me, the perfect match for the Kareem Hunt trade. I'm not predicting they're going to trade him to the Buccaneers, but to your question, and I'm not even sure I want to trade him.
2
But
hours in, I'm
saying-
finally
Well,
going to
I
hear it.
trade
There's
him
a
for Mike
dance
Evans.
partner-
I would trade him for Mike Evans, but I can't imagine there's any way Buccaneers would do that.
I told you even before the show, I don't think they would.
Yeah.
I don't. But if you're the Buccaneers and you're looking at the possibility of dramatically upgrading the one spot on your team that you're weak, I would do it.
I think I don't think they're weak at running back. I disagree, but
I think they're
but
Leonard
if-
Fournette. Let's face it.
I think Leonard Fournette was really good for them last year.
He was really good once upon a time.
No, he was really good for
When
them
I
last year.
saw him and how he showed up this year,
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it, Bull. Can we
Yeah,
tag
I
board?
don't know.
Can we tag board that?
Yeah,
the
I'll find
Leonard
it. Give me one
Fournette
sec.
picture. So for those of you
I
that
just can't
haven't
imagine
seen
they would
him-
trade Mike Evans. But in theory, if they would trade Mike Evans, of course I would trade.
Yeah, and I don't
Kareem
know
Hunt
that
for
it
Mike
would
Evans.
be Mike Evans
But
and
Chris
Godwin.
Godwin's-
They just re-signed Godwin.
And he's hurt.
And I don't think
he
they
might
would
not be ready
re-sign
for the
Godwin.
start of the season. They don't have anybody
He hasn't
else.
been ruled out for the start of the season.
No,
has he?
I know, and
Yeah.
I would do it for Chris
Right.
Godwin if
Yeah.
I knew he was going to be healthy.
And so to
but
your
again, I'd be
point-
surprised. But we'll see. You never know.
I think that's, in my mind, that's the number one, the team that makes the most sense to me. Because I do think they have moving parts. And I've watched Brady through his years when they've told me, the experts, they're going to be awful this year because he's got no one to throw to. And he always finds someone to throw to. He has never had a year where he
Yeah.
hasn't found someone to throw to.
I agree with that.
We'll throw
I'll
in
be-
Anthony
I'm
Schwartz.
very surprised.
We'll throw in Anthony Schwartz.
I'll be very surprised if they trade
They
Godwin
might do
or
it
Evans.
for that.
Yeah.
But for the record, if the Bucs are willing to trade Godwin Evans, I would be willing to trade Kareem Hunt. Although I'm a little nervous about Godwin because he's coming off from a big injury last year.
I love Godwin.
I loved him.
I had him
Loved
in
him
fantasy
before
last
the
year. I
injury.
wrote him all the way to a championship.
Mike Evans would be a no-brainer. He's a top 10 wide receiver.
Yeah, I don't.
But I
and
can't
don't know it
imagine they would trade him.
I don't know that it would be Evans. I don't.
Kareem
I'm not
Hunt's
sure that it
top
would
5
be.
quarterback.
Did we
Running
not?
back.
We,
Yes.
Running back.
So we did not find that picture.
We're looking for it. We found the meme, like the one that's not really him, but he put his head on.
No, I don't want to see that. I want to see the real picture.
He's heavy. I know he came in heavy.
You
Yeah,
guys
he came
got
in
it.
heavy. I
8-9.
can't find the picture.
8-9? You
Yeah,
guys got
I like
okay, just
that.
making sure. Just making sure.
Yeah. Tomorrow's show, Leroy Horde and Robert Smith.
Yep.
You get a Buckeye running back that was great. You get a Michigan running back that was great. And then we're going to dive down deeper into Jacoby Brissett's game, right?
We're going to do a little get-to-know Jacoby Brissett.
Oh,
with
is he
true
our
and false.
get-to-know player? Okay.
He's our get-to-know player of the week.
Hey, did we ever run, I know we did in our practice show, did we ever run in a real show your 60 seconds with Jacoby Brissett?
You know, I'm not sure if we
I
did,
don't know
but
that we did.
I don't think we did. We
Legally-
should run it tomorrow.
we're not allowed to.
Why?
We've done that interview. That's done.
It happened on, and we were
my
told specifically
God.
we were not allowed to run that interview. So,
Dude.
It's a perfect system.
That's a
ridiculous.
clown show move right there.
That's-
so
That's
we're gonna
fun.
play get to know
That
true or
is
false with Jacoby Brissett tomorrow, and
We
we're gonna
gotta run
argue and debate who's a better skill player in the Browns, Kareem Hunter. Or
Hey,
Amari Cooper.
the Browns gave you access to Jacoby Brissett. for
That doesn't make
interview.
any sense that we can't run that.
They gave you access to Jacoby
Anybody
Brissett.
saying
Guys,
that is lost.
If they didn't want us to run that interview, they wouldn't have given you access.
Send
I'm
Matt
just
Locke.
telling y'all what I was told.
All right.
Dumbest thing I've ever heard.
You guys
in
know
my
I don't make the rules
life. Been
here.
doing this
Yes, you
35
don't.
years.
Why are you doing this to us, Mike?
Jay, you're off the rest of the week. Did you?
Yeah, I'm
you
off.
Forgot?
I am. I'm heading
Will you
to-
take that hot dog with you?
I won't. First of all, I won't even touch that hot dog. I'm so anti-hot dog. I don't want to smell them. I don't particularly like watching people.
Did I
eat
ruin
them.
your celery by just having this open?
No,
in the
I'm gonna
room?
eat. I'm gonna
Okay,
enjoy
good.
my
I feel like
celery
Mike
after
should
the
eat
show.
that hot dog right now.
I'm
All right, guys.
We're not quite at that jackass.
We're out of time.
We're out of time. We're going to take a 20. I'm off until next Monday.
See you
but
guys.
the show continues 22 hours from now. The Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Bye.
The only show where someone tries to use a hot dog as a straw.